Chapter 1277. Oh, the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers have advanced? Lu Changsheng's brow lifted slightly upon hearing this, a trace of joy appearing on his face. Years ago he invested considerable time and effort into cultivating this batch of Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers. However, their growth was painfully slow. Despite his heavy investment of resources, along with the assistance of ancient beast-taming charms, their speed remained frustratingly sluggish, eventually prompting him to lose interest. Yet now, one of the Dao soldiers had finally achieved second-rank advancement, making him feel somewhat pleased. "Qinsha, come see me." Lu Changxing enveloped the entire Blue Cloud Peak with his divine sense and summoned his son, Lu Qinsha, who was training Iron Fire ants, intending to inspect the second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier. Soon after, Lu Qinsha arrived at the Lu family mansion. Upon seeing Lu Changxing and the others, he respectfully clasped his hands in greeting. "Qinsha greets father and aunt." Lu Changxing nodded faintly and, accompanied by Lu Qinsha, ascended to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak, saying, "Release the second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier for me to see." "Yes, father." Lu Qinsha responded reverently, then retrieved the ancient beast-taming charm and activated the beast technique spell. Buzz. The ancient charm radiated brilliant light, and a streak of black aura shot forth, manifesting as a pitch-black Jiaolong roughly 3 zhang 9 meters, long and as thick as a barrel, its hide covered with dense, dark scales. The Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier had a pair of short legs beneath its body shimmering with a cold, obsidian gleam, and a solitary small black horn atop its head. Huarg. As the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier emerged, a surge of aqueous energy spread across the surroundings, causing the creature to soar on misty clouds. A second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier, its innate monster techniques awakened: Blackwater Divine Light, Cloud Soaring Technique and Illusion Mist Technique. Lu Changxing scrutinized the Dao soldier before him. The Blackwater Jiaolong spell refined demon beasts into Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers, with notable differences in appearance during the first rank. Upon advancing to second rank, aside from retaining some minor traits, they largely metamorphosize into the form of a Blackwater Jiaolong. When Dao soldiers reach third rank, unless the demon beast's original bloodline was extraordinary and its innate talents remarkable, few of their original features remain, as they are entirely transformed into the likeness of a Blackwater Jiaolong. Though it's only second rank and its combat strength is limited, using it as a mount does have a certain prestige. Lu Changxing chuckled faintly at the sight of the imposing Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier before him. This Dao soldier belonged to the water element. Its full combat effectiveness could only be unleashed within aquatic environments. Brought outside, its abilities were no more than average at best. Nonetheless, its appearance was impressive, ferocious and dignified, with a semblance of the majestic aura of a Jiaolong. "Is there only one second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong at present?" Lu Changxing turned to Lu Qinsha. "In response to father, currently there is only this one Dao soldier that has advanced to second rank. 5 others are progressing, 3 are on the verge of advancing, and at most within a year they will achieve second rank," Lu Qinsha reported dutifully. Lu Changxing had reared a total of 81 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers. Among the earlier members refined from bi-blood carp kings and various low to mid-tier bloodline demon beasts, their foundation was relatively weak, so he opted for simpler cultivation, without the intention of accelerating them to second rank. After all, even if these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers reached second rank, their potential was exhausted, making advancement to third rank almost impossible. However, the 9 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers subject to more intensive cultivation were also of merely high-tier bloodline grade. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, stepping onto the head of the Blackwater Jiaolong. Although the Blackwater Jiaolong soldier charm had been handed over to Lu Qinsha, these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers were all forged by him using the Blackwater Jiaolong spell, giving them an innate reverence and submissiveness toward him, remaining under his control. "Come here." Lu Changxing raised his hand lightly, pulling his son Lu Qinsha onto the head of the Blackwater Jiaolong as well, preparing to test its prowess. Roar! 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 The Blackwater Jiaolong bellowed fiercely, its scales shimmering, surrounded by swirling mist as torrents of aqueous vapor surged around it, propelling it toward Baishui Lake. "What's that? A Jiaolong? That's a second-rank Jiaolong. When did our family acquire a second-rank Jiaolong?" Its father alongside Qinsha. Many on Blue Cloud Peak noted the commotion, noticing a fearsome black Jiaolong flying toward Baishui Lake with an aura of majesty, upon whose ferocious head stood 2 figures. Discussions arose in astonishment. Apart from the 9 Netherhound guarding White Tiger Mountain, By Lake Mountain actually possesses another second-rank spiritual beast? CTH Novel F. Ire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Could this second-rank Jiaolong possibly be Lu Ancestor's mount? What is Lu Ancestor planning to do? Cultivators visiting By Lake Mountain for the ceremony were astounded, shocked, and filled with envy at the spectacle. Although this type of second-rank Dao soldier was entirely insignificant to Lu Changxing, kept for amusement to cultivators from other families, it would be akin to a second-order great demon, a clan guardian spirit beast. Particularly, the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier boasted an extremely striking appearance. As it soared high in the sky, were it not examined closely, it could easily be mistaken for a demon beast with earth-grade bloodline. Roar! 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 As the Blackwater Jiaolong reached the skies over by Shui Lake, its excitement visibly increased, becoming enveloped in a heavy mist, causing waves to surge upward from the lake. Settle down. Lu Changxing frowned with displeasure, pressing his foot against the Jiaolong's head. This Bai Shui Lake belonged to his family, stocked with numerous spiritual fish. What if they ended up harmed? The Blackwater Jiaolong whimpered softly, retracting its imposing air. Soon after, a Bai Lake Mountain token appeared in Lu Changxing's hand. This token carried partial formation restrictions, allowing activation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation. Through the token, Lu Changxing activated the second transformation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation, Bihu Stream Layers. From Bai Shui Lake, columns of water erupted skyward, layers of mist spread, cloaking the surroundings in azure currents and foggy haze, isolating this portion of the heavens and earth. Then Lu Changxing turned to his son Lu Qinsha, saying, "Qinsha, release all the Dao soldiers except those currently advancing." Within his Qi Ocean Core, the Yin-Yang Great Path Golden Core orbited around the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, radiating brilliant resplendence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1278, Boom Boom Boom. With a thunderous roar emanating from his dantian, Lu Changxing exuded a profound aura belonging to the Black Dragon Codex. This was the dominion over all techniques from the Yin-Yang creation scripture. As long as he fully comprehended the cultivation technique, he could leverage its magical properties and the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to transform Yin-Yang magic power into this potent strength. At the same time, Lu Qinsha released the remaining 75 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers. See the novel, F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Immediately, the surroundings were occupied by massive black flood dragons and dragonfish. These Dao soldiers were all first rank and displayed significant differences in appearance. However, their uniform ebony black color and orderly formation collectively emanated an awe-inspiring majesty. Dao Soldier Talisman. Lu Changxing glanced at his son and continued speaking. Without asking further questions, Lu Qinsha promptly retrieved a palm-sized ink black soldier token. It was etched with an image of a Blackwater Jiaolong soaring through the heavens. Unlike Lu Changxing, who had cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, Lu Qinsha did not possess this cultivation and thus needed the Dao Soldier Talisman to command the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers, as they usually wouldn't obey him. Blackwater Jiaolong Spell, Blackwater Jiaolong Battle Formation. Lu Changxing took the token, glanced at the soldiers and gestured with incantations using both hands. Swish, swish, swish. The 75 Dao soldiers immediately began aligning neatly, their inner Blackwater Jiaolong spell activating automatically. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the first-rank Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers fused their auras with the second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong beneath Lu Changxing's feet, causing the demonic power from all Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers to gather, gradually morphing into a colossal flood dragon phantom. The flood dragon phantom stood 5 or 6 zhang tall, exceptionally tangible, radiating an intimidating mid-second rank aura. Lu Qinsha saw this spectacle, his expression filled with astonishment and terror. He had always known that his father was incredibly extraordinary, far from a typical foundation establishment cultivator. Yet witnessing his father's methods firsthand left him utterly shaken. Especially this immense flood dragon phantom. Its presence alone overwhelmed him, making him feel insignificant and weak, sending shivers down his soul. Rumor has it that some profound and exquisite cultivation techniques allow nurtured Dao soldiers to form formations, which can enhance the master's power significantly. Could this be my father's life path Dao soldiers? Lu Qinsha speculated internally. His cultivation technique, the beast technique, also contained methods for nurturing Dao soldiers, but he hadn't yet accessed them. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly as he observed the flood dragon phantom. It was no wonder that in years past, Azure Phoenix Immortal, at the initial stage of core formation, could confront cultivators at the late stage of core formation head-on. Even this small contingent of Dao soldiers could enable an initial Foundation Establishment cultivator to challenge one at the late stage. If there were 500 Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers, they might be able to defeat a Foundation Establishment peak cultivator outright, perhaps even contend against a false core expert. Considering that his family's great formation could only offer basic concealment, Lu Changxing chose not to test the offensive capabilities of the Flood Dragon Phantom further. Instead, he gestured once more, activating another technique. Roar. The Flood Dragon Phantom let out a resounding roar before dissolving into ethereal light and coiling around Lu Changxing. In an instant, Lu Changxing's azure robe transformed, and a fierce black dragon armor slowly condensed over him. The armor was adorned with intricate runes, while its shoulders bore two menacing black dragon head pauldrons. These dragon heads appeared alive, with dark golden vertical pupils and faint dragon breath emanating from their snouts, making it seem as though a black dragon coiled around Lu Changxing, granting him a cold and imposing aura, like that of a sovereign emperor. Standing nearby, Lu Qinsha gazed at his father in this form, his entire being overwhelmed by a sense of suffocation. Even though Lu Changxing was merely testing the armor without unleashing his magical aura, the intrinsic dragon might from the Black Dragon Codex made Lu Qinsha's body tense, his heartbeat pounding against his chest, almost compelling him to bow in submission. This was not a pressure born of cultivation-level disparity. Rather, it was an innate suppression of spirits and willpower, much like the natural suppression of bloodline hierarchy between demon beasts. Later, head to Xuanfu Peak and acclimate yourself to the Dragon Blood Tree's aura. Lu Changxing spoke, his calm voice carrying an undeniable authority this time. Understood, father. Lu Qinsha, realizing his behavior had slightly displeased his father, quickly activated the beast technique, and straightened his posture forcefully. Now that Pingon has broken through to the mid-stage of Foundation Establishment, with these Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers, even without invoking the 100 Refinements treasure body art, they could spar against Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivators. Once the 9-headed Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers all advanced to second rank, alongside quasi-third-tier body refining, they should be able to face off against someone like Sima Tong, a false core cultivator, and even suppress them. Lu Changxing contemplated internally. This brief experiment had given him a thorough understanding of his Dao soldiers' capabilities. For him personally they were of little use. However, for his children cultivating the Black Dragon Codex, the Dao soldiers represented a significant force. Even if his children had just reached Foundation Establishment, commanding this contingent alone could allow them to confront cultivators at the Foundation Establishment late stage head-on. In cases of weaker opponents they might even achieve a clean victory. Alright, withdraw the Dao soldiers. These second-ranked Dao soldiers can be maintained with regular training now, there's no need to allocate excessive resources for their development. The black dragon armor dissipated from Lu Changxing's body as he addressed his son, Lu Qinsha. Cultivating Dao soldiers was exceptionally resource-intensive. Over the past decades, Lu Changxing had invested resources worth tens of thousands into the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers. Advancing them to third rank would require resources beyond imagination. Additionally, Dao soldiers, no matter how much was spent, demanded enormous time investment. Moreover, the foundational quality of these Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers was quite average. While advancing to second rank was feasible, progressing to third rank remained exceedingly difficult. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1279. How about waiting to find some Earth-grade bloodline or Heaven-grade bloodline Flood Dragon offspring in the future, refining them into Dao soldiers? It would be much easier to nurture them then. Yes, father. Lu Qinsha replied respectfully. As a beast tamer, he naturally understood how resource-intensive it was to nurture spirit beasts and Dao soldiers. These resources were enough to cultivate multiple Foundation Establishment cultivators. I wonder how much stronger my Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier is compared to the Su family's Water Serpent Dao soldiers. At this moment, Lu Changxing recalled the two famous Dao soldiers of the beast-taming Su family in Jiang country. Water Serpent Dao soldiers. Fire Crow Dao soldiers. In Lu Changsheng's view, it seemed inevitable that he would have to face the Su family one day. One reason was the minor grievances between the two families. Another was that the Qingyun region could not accommodate two nascent soul noble families. When Hong Lian emerges, I can let her cultivate a fire element Dao soldier. If there's truly going to be a showdown in the future, a clash of Dao soldiers would be rather interesting. Lu Changxing chuckled softly, thinking to himself. Hong Lian had several methods for nurturing fire element Dao soldiers. However, nurturing Dao soldiers was truly complex, cumbersome and costly in terms of money and time. Therefore, Lu Changxing had only cultivated the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier. Now that the family was much wealthier, if it didn't require his own time and energy, Lu Changxing was still willing to spend money for Hong Lian to cultivate 1 or 2 Dao soldiers to enhance the family's foundation. He activated the Mountain Lord token and disabled the effects of the formation blue water layered streams. Lu Changxing rode the Blackwater Jiaolong and, along with Lu Qinsha, returned to Baiyun Peak. What just happened? Did the Mountain Lord just put on a show of strength and demonstrate his power? Many people looked at Lu Changxing atop the Jiaolong's head with reverence and awe. Earlier, although the formation had concealed and shielded the presence of energy, some cultivators near Lake Heart Villa had faintly sensed a terrifying aura of pressure. Daddy? Daddy. As soon as Lu Changxing returned to Baiyun Peak and dismounted from the Blackwater Jiaolong, his daughter Lu Lingyi, Lu Qingqi and several other little ones gathered around, looking at him with ingratiating expressions. Qinsha, take your younger siblings out for a stroll and have some fun, Lu Changxing said with a smile. Although many of the children in the family had ridden spirit boats and iron feather eagles, riding a Jiaolong was undoubtedly a different experience. After all, in various handbooks, ancient texts and storybooks, there were countless tales of people riding dragons and phoenixes. If, when the remaining Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers ascend to the second rank, I have 9 Jiaolong pulling a carriage, it would surely outshine the scene of Su family's second ancestor with his wind thunder steeds back then. At this moment, Lu Changxing recalled the time in the Purple Shadow secret realm when the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family commanded 9 wind thunder steeds to pull his spirit vessel, which was grand beyond words. Although his Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier was no match for the wind thunder steeds in terms of combat power or speed, in terms of grandeur and momentum, it did not fall short and perhaps even surpassed them. Yuner, Jinjin, if you would like to give it a try, he'll let you experience it later too. Seeing Lu Miaoyun and the others also gazing at the Blackwater Jiaolong, Lu Changxing chuckled aloud. During dinner, Lu Changxing spoke to his son Lu Pingon. Pingon, make time to study the Dao soldier's secret techniques and battle formation methods in the Black Dragon Codex. This Dao soldier could indeed be passed down. But for now, within the Lu family, aside from Lu Changxing, only Lu Pingon could utilize and wield its power effectively. Yes, father. Lu Pingon nodded in response. 6 days later, Lu Wangsha's foundation establishment ceremony was about to take place. The protagonist of this event, Lu Wangshu, had finally returned to Bai Lake Mountain from Flower Fruit Mountain. Since Lu Changxing intended for his son Lu Pingon to appear prominently during the ceremony, Xia Zhiyue had yet to return and was still stationed at Flower Fruit Mountain. Hey Lu Qinsha, you've got something so amazing and you didn't tell me. Lu Wangshu, upon seeing a new Jiaolong in the household during her absence, exclaimed immediately. Sister Wangshu, this is the same Blackwater Dragon Serpent from before. It only advanced to the second rank a few days ago, enabling it to fly, Lu Qinsha explained. Let me have a go with it. Lu Wangshu looked at the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier before her with a face full of curiosity and said. Soon, Lu Qinsha handed the symbol of the Blackwater Jiaolong to Lu Wangshu and gave her a rough overview of how to control it. A short while later at Baishui Lake, Lu Wangshu was riding atop the second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong. Nearby, Lu Qinsha, Lu Qingxian, Lu Qingqi, Lu Lingyi, and Lu Qingli were riding Blackwater Dragonfish, having the time of their lives. Hiss, these spirit beasts have similar colors. Could it be that the Lu family is nurturing Dao soldiers? Some Foundation establishment ancestors witnessing this scene could not help but speculate with amazement and suspicion in their hearts. Although the name of Dao soldiers was widely known. Aside from the 4 great immortal sects and nascent soul noble families like the beast-taming Su family, no other forces cultivated them. It wasn't that they didn't want to cultivate them. On one hand, they lacked the heritage of domesticated soldiers. On the other hand, they lacked the capability and financial means. Everyone knew that the resources required to cultivate a Dao soldier were astronomical. Not to mention Foundation establishment families. Even for nascent soul noble families, it was a significant burden. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although By Lake Mountain cannot afford to cultivate Dao soldiers, it is highly likely they have some kind of Dao soldier heritage. Now, with the Lu ancestor backed by the Qingyun sect and Kaiyun Peak, and with prodigies like Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu in the family, they might truly become a nascent soul noble family in the future. The Lu family of By Lake Mountain. Truly terrifying. Many Foundation establishment ancestors who had come to offer congratulations marveled and sighed in astonishment at the strength, foundation, and potential of By Lake Mountain's Lu family. Lu Wangshu. Lu Lingxiao, upon hearing of Lu Wangshu's return, immediately sought out his elder sister to spar with her. He knew of Lu Wangshu's achievements at the Red Leaf Valley Market and understood he wasn't her match, but he still wanted to gauge the gap between them. After a long while. Lu Lingxiao, work hard and show some respect for your elder sister in daily life, understood? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1280. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white dress, her face bright and charming, smiled as she patted her younger brother's shoulder. In her heart, she was grateful for the profound origin bead given by her father. Otherwise, facing Lu Lingxiao, she would have had to use talismans and talisman soldiers. Understood, Sister Wangshu. Lu Lingxiao's mouth twitched and he called out with a tense face. He hadn't expected the gap between himself and Lu Wangshu to be so large, not even pushing her to use her talisman formation skills. However, he was not discouraged as he had come primarily to see the difference between them. He planned to spar with Lu Wangshu again after creating his life-bound spiritual artifact and refining his foundation establishment spell. 5 days later, Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony officially began. However, to all the guests, this ceremony was not only Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony but also Lu family's eldest son Lu Pinggan's false core ceremony and Lu Changxing, the Lu family ancestors' talisman master ceremony. Therefore, this ceremony was exceedingly grand. Every force representative or individual Lu's cultivator who came to congratulate was presented with a congratulatory gift. Even many small Qi refinement families and small forces that weren't invited prepared gifts to come to Blue Lake Mountain. After all, for those small family forces, this was an opportunity. If they could become acquainted with the Lu family through gift-giving, it would be worth any expense. Xie family from Lingxi Lake, 5th elder came to congratulate, presenting 3 foundation establishment spirit herbs and 1 top-level spiritual artifact. Owner Yen from Misty Rain Market came to congratulate, presenting a 2nd-rank monster core. Lu ancestor from Qingzhou Mountain came to congratulate, presenting 10 jade green bamboo treasures. Generally, the higher the cultivation level and the larger the force behind, the more generous the congratulatory gift. However, these matters are all about social exchanges. In the future, when these forces host ceremonies, the Lu family also needs to reciprocate. Such a ceremony is truly grand. It was about 39 years ago when the Lu family was established on Blue Lake Mountain. I came with the ancestor to attend the ceremony. Who knew that Blue Lake Mountain would now become a false core family? I always knew the Lu family on Blue Lake Mountain would rise, but I never expected it to rise so quickly. Alas, back then, it was because a direct daughter of the Luo family was noticed by the Lu ancestor and taken as a concubine that the Luo family rapidly rose over the years, having 2 Qi refinement great circle cultivators to oversee. Unfortunately, ordinary women now do not catch the eye of the Lu ancestor. Many guests, hearing these congratulatory gifts and watching the coming and going foundation establishment cultivators, exchanged whispers and marveled. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The forces that frequently interacted with Blue Lake Mountain were particularly moved. They had witnessed the establishment and rise of Blue Lake Mountain's Lu family. But who would have thought, in the blink of an eye, Blue Lake Mountain had grown to such a degree, becoming a behemoth. Bai Yunyang, the ancestor of the Hundred Birds Lake Bai family, looked at the scenes before him, feeling a bit dazed. When Lu Changxing attacked Blue Lake Mountain back then, he had helped out. Now, more than 30 years later, his Hundred Birds Lake still had only 1 foundation establishment cultivator. And Blue Lake Mountain now officially had 9 foundation establishment cultivators, a world of difference between the two. It wasn't that the Bai family had developed poorly. In 39 years following Blue Lake Mountain and relying on the Red Leaf Valley Market, the Bai family's strength had almost doubled compared to before. But no family had developed like Blue Lake Mountain. Hong Yi also came to Blue Lake Mountain with a congratulatory gift. Looking at the scene before him, he was filled with emotion. 60 years ago, if someone had told him Lu Changxing could grow to this extent, he wouldn't have believed it even if they killed him. In his heart, he was incredibly grateful to know Lu Changxing and to have fostered good relations. If I could see Xuanji achieve foundation establishment, I, Hong Yi, would have no regrets in this life. Hong Yi recalled that a few days ago, his son Hong Xuanji told him he was preparing for foundation establishment. The reason was simple. His wife, Lu Caijin, had requested a foundation establishment elixir for him. At the time of hearing this, Hong Yi felt like he was dreaming, thinking he was hallucinating. After all, foundation establishment elixirs were precious. Even though he had years of friendship with Lu Changxing, he didn't dare ask for a foundation establishment elixir. Now the other has taken the initiative to give his son an opportunity. Although he felt his son's chance of achieving foundation establishment was low, he still brought out all the family savings, letting him purchase foundation establishment spirit objects and prepare well. This ceremony Lu Changxing just went through the motions. Mainly it was Lu Pinggan, Lu Wangshu and Lu Xingyang who made appearances. Since Lu Miaoga had previously said she would present a few third-rank talismans as a giveaway at the ceremony, Lu Changxing also took out 5 ready third-rank lower-quality talismans for a simple auction. The enthusiasm of the foundation establishment cultivators present exceeded Lu Changxing's expectations, with each third-rank talisman fetching tens of thousands of spirit stones. However, of the 5 third-rank talismans, except for 2 that were purely sold at high spirit stone prices, the other 3 involved a trade of spirit stones plus item exchanges. This made Lu Changxing realize that this stuff was sometimes more effective than foundation establishment elixirs. Or rather, foundation establishment elixirs were mostly needed by family forces, while third-rank talismans were needed by both family forces and loose cultivators. Especially those who risked their lives on the line, adventuring and exploring secret realms, these loose cultivators. Rest assured, everyone our Blue Lake Mountain Lu family still adheres to the development path of harmony and shared prosperity, and will not proactively make enemies with any family forces. After the ceremony had progressed to a certain point, Lu Changxing spoke up. Although nobody fully believed and trusted such words, but with Blue Lake Mountain's current strength and reputation, Lu Changxing the ancestor saying these words carried a certain weight. Thus, with the newly established Lu Family Commerce Association not yet fully set up, many forces were already willing to join voluntarily to form a commerce alliance. However, in these matters, Lu Changxing did not concern himself, leaving it for Lu Xingyang and others to arrange and handle. After all, he only set the family's general direction. It was for the children to implement, and he had no leisure to worry. However, facing the enthusiasm of various family forces, after some thought, Lu Changxing still accepted 5 maidservants to show goodwill. After the ceremony ended, Lu Changxing returned to continue spending his days with his wives, concubines and children, occasionally making talismans, teaching Li Xingrua alchemy and child rearing. Half a month later. Congratulations to the host's first offspring for becoming a second-order spiritual plant master, receiving 1 lottery chance. Second-order spiritual plant master? Lu Changxing's brow lightly raised, momentarily unsure which child had advanced to a second-order spiritual plant master. Because the path of spiritual plants, among the 100 arts of cultivation, was the simplest, many of his children followed it. It should be Xingyue, right? Lu Changxing thought for a moment, considering his daughter Lu Xingyue to be the likeliest. Though he had several children who were top-level spiritual plant masters, either their cultivation level was a bit low, or they had only recently advanced. Only daughter Lu Xingyue fit the bill. And a few days ago, Lu Xingyue was preparing to nurture her divine sense before foundation establishment, then impact foundation establishment. Having her divine sense would greatly help with these skills. Lu Changxing did not dwell much on it, silently thinking. System draw. A light red roulette appeared and golden light began to spin. A moment later, the golden light stopped on the magical treasure section. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the magical treasure. Formless treasure wheel. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it anytime. A crystal clear, faintly golden glowing treasure wheel, etched with ancient patterns, emerged from the roulette as a system prompt sounded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1281, Magical Treasure? Lu Changxing looked at the reward and raised his brows slightly. In his earlier years he felt indifferent about magical treasures. Now that he had broken through to core formation and had no suitable treasures on hand, he found himself looking forward to obtaining one. He considered using the system to draw a few handy magical treasures. After all, crafting a magical treasure himself would be immensely time-consuming. Lu Changsheng's mental spirit moved as he gazed into the system space. Magic artifact, formless treasure wheel. Grade, superior quality treasure. Description, formless creates infinite phenomena. This treasure wheel can empower various techniques and divine skills, golden core law domains, forming the formless domain that derives infinite transformations and defies prediction. Formless domain. This magical treasure seems to have something interesting. Lu Changxing squinted as he read the description of the formless treasure wheel before him. He recalled hearing about realms from Hong Lian. When one breaks through core formation into nascent soul true lord, the law domain advances further, enabling the practitioner to shatter the void and condense a fragmented independent space. This space could not only be used for combat but also for storage or even as a residence. And this space is known as a realm. Extract. Lu Changxing immediately extracted the formless treasure wheel from the system space, eager to test its effects and examine the realm it could generate. In an instant, a 3-foot-long crystal-clear wheel adorned with intricate golden patterns appeared, radiating a faint golden light. See Travel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Simultaneously, Lu Changxing gained a detailed understanding of this magical treasure's capabilities. This treasure wheel was primarily functional and lacked proactive offensive capabilities. However, it could enhance any technique or divine skill, boosting their efficacy by approximately 30% while generating illusory attacks, leaving opponents defenseless. This effect could also augment the core formation law domain, enhancing its power, restricting mana, and disrupting mental spirits. This was the formless treasure wheel's mode of attack. Beyond offense, its defensive capabilities allowed it to form a protective domain and spiritual shielding. The effects were fairly impressive, even comparable to low-quality and some middle-grade defensive treasures. If faced with an unmanageable attack, it could also activate the formless domain, using the realm space to absorb and withstand the assault. However, once the realm was broken, this magical treasure would be nearly ruined. The formless domain was essentially an independent space opened through the gateway of the formless treasure wheel. This space could be used for storing items, suppressing enemies, isolating poisonous vapors, mists, and other methods. As for residing inside, it was indeed possible. But the interior was extremely small, devoid of spiritual energy, akin to emptiness, dry, monotonous, and capable of driving one to madness. This formless domain pairs perfectly with my yin-yang qi grasp. Lu Changsheng's expression brightened as he examined the magical treasure's abilities. While the treasure wheel's offensive and defensive capabilities were merely adequate for him, the formless domain's features brought him unparalleled delight. The formless domain, when used to subdue enemies, could strip their senses, immobilize their mana, and function as a portable prison. His yin-yang qi grasp's inherent ability to capture, suppress, and restrain aligned seamlessly. If he used yin-yang qi grasp to apprehend and suppress an opponent, then transferred them into the formless domain, even a core formation true master might be powerless to resist or escape. Previously, though his yin-yang grasp was overwhelming and tyrannical, it could only suppress an enemy briefly, lacking the ability for prolonged containment. But if I encounter a tough adversary who breaks the realm, this magical treasure would be rendered useless. Lu Changxing was also keenly aware of the drawbacks. After all, becoming a core formation true master was no easy feat, requiring extensive trump cards and strategies. Under the combined suppression of yin-yang qi grasp and the formless treasure wheel, an opponent still might find a way to shatter the formless domain and escape through some means. As long as I act swiftly, there shouldn't be too much trouble. Lu Changxing mused silently. After all, if an opponent could easily break the formless domain, they wouldn't have been subdued by the treasure wheel to begin with. Besides, he had no reason to imprison anyone without necessity. Once subdued within the formless domain, the logical move would be to eliminate the enemy immediately. Sister Miaoga? Lu Changxing remembered that in a few months the Tianyuan secret realm would be opening. He figured he should mention it to Lu Miaoga and then proceed with closed-door cultivation to refine the treasure. He planned to fully refine it before heading to the Tianyuan secret realm. That way, even if unexpected situations arose, he'd have additional methods at his disposal. Inside a mountain cave. Taoist, you're awake. Lu Xingchen looked at the white-robed youth before him and spoke. One might say a good deed deserves to be carried through. After rescuing the young man and seeing him unconscious, Lu Xingchen had been tending to him and healing his injuries these past days. However, the severity of his injuries astounded Lu Xingchen. Not only was his body battered and scarred, but his meridians, Qi Ocean Core and Dantian were in utter disarray. Yet, under such circumstances, he had still managed to hold his ground against a pack of green wind wolves for so long. To Lu Xingchen this was nothing short of a miracle. Had he not cultivated the Cauldron Medical King's scripture, and possessed an ample supply of elixir medicines, he might not have been able to save this person. In addition to his own abilities, Lu Xingchen could tell that the youth had an extraordinary physical body, likely enhanced by rare spiritual medicine or refined to the level of second rank. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the resilience to survive and endure under such conditions. Beyond that, Lu Xingchen also discerned that the youth was disguised. She was likely a woman. "Thank you, Taoist, for saving me." Wang Yanjing's pale and frail face revealed gratitude as she spoke softly. She was well aware of the dire nature of her injuries, having nearly crossed death's threshold. During these days of unconsciousness, she often sensed a cool and soothing greenish energy flowing within her, dragging her back from the brink of death. "Since we've crossed paths, it wouldn't sit right to leave you for dead. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1282. Lu Xingchen shook his head and said, he had spared no effort to heal the other during these past days. After speaking, he glanced at the roasting turkey crackling with oil, sprinkled some powder on it, tore off a drumstick and handed it to her. "You've been gravely wounded and unconscious for such a long time. You must be hungry, right? Here." Wang Yanjing stared at the golden oil-dripping drumstick before her, slightly stunned. Her ordinary pale face quickly revealed a moving smile as she said, "Thank you. Taoist friend, your injuries seem severe. You must have used some kind of secret technique prior to this, am I correct?" Lu Xingchen tore off another drumstick for himself and casually asked. Though he wasn't young, he had never ventured far from home and remained curious about many things in the cultivation world. During the healing process, he had noticed that the other person was no ordinary individual. Curiosity drove him to inquire further, to confirm his judgment. Of course, he also wanted to subtly probe her situation, to determine whether it was good or bad. Upon hearing these words, Wang Yanjing's heart skipped a beat as she realized he was probing her circumstances. Reflecting on the past few days, she assumed he had already deduced most of her situation. In a weak and low voice she replied, "Yes, I was originally a Foundation establishment cultivator. But shortly after breaking through, I used a secret technique, which caused my cultivation level to fall to this state." Foundation establishment? Lu Xingchen was quite surprised, suddenly understanding why her physical body differed from that of an energy-refining cultivator. He refrained from asking too much all at once. As the two of them interacted over time, their relationship grew much closer, and Lu Xingchen came to understand her identity and circumstances. Her name was Li Jingyi, and she hailed from a Foundation establishment family, serving as the family's Foundation establishment seedling. 6 months ago, shortly after breaking through to Foundation establishment, she was ambushed by an archenemy. The enemy had hired 2 Foundation establishment great cultivators for reinforcements, and her family stood no chance against them. Protected by her elders who fought to the death and through the use of a secret technique, she narrowly escaped with her life and fled to this location. Her cultivation level had fallen from Foundation establishment back to the 7th level of energy refinement, and her meridians and dantian were in disarray. Relying on a treasure hunting and medicine collecting technique she cultivated in her youth, she came here searching for spiritual medicine, only to be attacked by a pack of green wind wolves, including a mutant wolf king, which caused her injuries to erupt. As a clan cultivator and a Foundation establishment seedling of the Lu family at Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Xingchen found her experiences quite touching. Sar the novel Ire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Several days later. Miss Lee, if you have no place to go for now, I can escort you to my family's marketplace for temporary shelter. Through their days of interaction, Lu Xingchen felt that she was quite decent and was willing to offer a helping hand. Considering her talent, should she recover her Foundation establishment in the future, this could form a beneficial connection. As for her family feud, Lu Xingchen was undaunted. First, her family was not in the Qingyun domain but in the Luoxia region, which was far away. Second, both families were Foundation establishment families with only 2 Foundation establishment cultivators guarding them, posing little threat. If that's the case, thank you, Lu Daoist. Wang Yanjing had now shed her boyish appearance and assumed her true form as a 20-year-old young woman. Though her looks were unremarkable, her round and jade-like demeanor exuded the elegance of a prominent family. Through their interactions over the past few days, she realized that Lu Xingqian, despite his foundation establishment cultivation level, had little worldly experience. His character remained straightforward and honest, kind-hearted and generous. Knowing her injuries would take time to heal, she thought it best to find shelter in the marketplace and plan her next steps. All right. Lu Xingqian smiled warmly, his face gentle and scholarly. His offer to take her to his family's marketplace was spurred by his urgency to return home. He felt he had been delayed too long due to her circumstances. If delayed any longer, his family would worry about his well-being. Qingyun sect. On this day, Sima Qiuhua and the great elder of the Sima family arrived at the enforcement hall of Qingyun sect. Their delay in coming to the enforcement hall to ransom Sima Tong was not intentional. 20,000 spirit stones was no small figure. Even though the Sima family was a false core family, gathering such a sum required some maneuvering. Plus, there was a spirit land and 10 shops to consider. Although the Qingyun sect had made its demands clear, they dared not act rashly. Yet they couldn't leave the spirit land's crops or shop assets behind and needed time to handle everything. The speed at which they resolved these matters was already impressive. Upon arriving at the enforcement hall, they expressed their intentions. The elder at the enforcement hall did not deliberately make things difficult for them. After inspecting the spirit stones within their storage bag and verifying the property deeds for the spirit land and shops, he escorted them to see Sima Tong, second uncle, ancestor. The great elder of the Sima family and Sima Qiuhua called out in trembling voices upon seeing the pale-faced and severely weakened Sima Tong. Sima Tong had not suffered any mistreatment or abuse during his captivity. However, the injuries he sustained battling Lu Pingan, including the self-detonation of his magical treasure, had only been superficially treated, leaving him debilitated. Wenyuan Qiuhua. Sima Tong's voice was hoarse and his appearance greatly aged as he responded weakly. Though he didn't know the finer details of what had transpired during these days, he had a general understanding, and his heart burned with frustration and anger. Second uncle, you've suffered. We'll take you back home now. Sima Wenyuan stepped forward to help Sima Tong out of the enforcement hall. The elder from the enforcement hall observed and said a few obligatory words, emphasizing how the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge and the Lu family of Bai Lake Mountain were both families under Qinjian's rule and how they should conduct themselves properly. After all, the matter was concluded with the judgment that the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge had initiated provocation and blatantly ambushed the Lu family of Bai Lake Mountain, stirring conflict between the two. Elder Su, we understand. Sima Wenyuan hurriedly cupped his hands in respect, offering a superior-grade spirit stone from his storage bag. Elder Su nodded slightly upon receiving the spirit stone and refrained from saying more. After giving several instructions to the disciples of the enforcement hall, he personally set off for Bai Lake Mountain to deliver the spirit stones and property deeds. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1283. Lu Changxing, as a third-rank talisman master and favored by Kaiyun True Immortal, has been appointed as a visiting noble servant. Even though he holds the status of a false core immortal, enforcement elders are willing to show some respect and maintain good relations with Bai Lake Mountain. Wenyuan, how much spirit stone has the family spent on compensation this time? Sima Tong, seated on a spirit boat with Sima Wenyuan after departing Qingyun sect, asked in a faint and weak voice. Second uncle. Sima Wenyuan could tell that their family patriarch was not in a good state. If he were to hear about such compensations, he might erupt in rage, sending his qi blood into turmoil. Say it. I'm fine. Sima Tong sighed deeply and responded. 200,000 spirit stones, the spirit land at Hemming Mountain, and 10 shops. Sima Wenyuan reported in a low tone. What, ugh? Hearing those words, Sima Tong's eyes widened with shock, his fists clenched tightly, his pale face flushed red, and he spewed a mouthful of fresh blood. This journey not only cost his Sima family 4 young prodigies and a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator but also left him gravely injured and half-crippled. Even if he recuperated, he would be considered the lowest tier of false core immortals. And in these dire circumstances, his family had paid such an excessive amount of spirit stone assets just to save him. Agonizing. Sima Tong felt a unique grievance, anger like he had never experienced before. It was worth noting that he had earlier been suppressed by Lu Pingan, and upon waking, his storage bag had also been taken. Thus, this trip led to losses for the Sima family exceeding 1 million spirit stones. Second Uncle, Iya the novel under fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Sima Wenyuan quickly supported Sima Tong, channeling his mana to help soothe his meridians and stabilize his chi blood. With a visibly bitter expression, he said, Lu Changxing is backed by Kaiyun True Immortal and has become Qingyun sect's visiting noble servant. Furthermore, Kaiyun True Immortal personally intervened in this matter, leaving our Sima family absolutely no room for negotiation. Previously, Chihua had gone to seek an audience with Yuji True Immortal but was reprimanded instead over this issue. So, for this matter, even if we want revenge, we can only wait for the storm to pass and act covertly. Sima Wenyuan expressed grimly. Having suffered such devastating losses, the Sima family naturally didn't want to let the matter go. Especially with Bai Lake Mountain growing at such an unprecedented pace, it filled the Sima family with unease, unwilling to witness Lu family rise in power like this. Kaiyun True Immortal. Upon hearing that Kaiyun True Immortal had intervened, Sima Tong exhaled deeply, a sense of powerlessness surging in his heart. Qingyun sect, the insurmountable mountain looming over these family forces. And the nascent soul immortals of Qingyun sect. They are the mountain's rulers, holding the very power of life and death over them. Bai Lake Mountain, the Lu family. Endless rage, hatred, and murderous intent surged within Sima Tong's heart. But as he contemplated his current state, an air of helpless despair washed over him. With injuries of this severity, it would take at least 3 to 5 years to recuperate before he could engage in combat. Even then, he estimated that he would still fail to contend with Lu Pingan. But in that instant, he recalled escaping to Misty Rain Market during his plight, only for the marketplace to activate its great formation and refuse aid, leaving him to perish. If the market had intervened at that time, he might have escaped, and his family might not have suffered such losses. Humph. Sima Tong snorted coldly, recounting the Misty Rain Market incident to Sima Wenyuan. Unable to touch Bai Lake Mountain Lu family, surely they could deal with a mere marketplace. A chance to not only recover some losses but also make a statement, affirming that their family remains a force among the false core families. Bai Lake Mountain. Biyun Villa within a grand hall. Thank you, Elder Su, matters like these could have been notified through others. Lu Miaoyun promptly received the enforcement elder from Qingyun sect upon hearing of his arrival, to provide hospitality. Haha, this elder happened to have some free time, and considering Bai Lake Mountain isn't far from Qingyun sect, decided to personally make the trip. The enforcement elder was visibly disappointed at Lu Changxing's absence. He had hoped to seize this opportunity to establish familiarity with Lu Changxing and Lu Pingan. Having managed family affairs for years, Lu Miaoyun had cultivated shrewdness and tact. She explained that her husband had entered closed-door cultivation after a recent epiphany, while her eldest son, Lu Pingan, was currently at White Tiger Mountain. Assuring that if Elder Su had pressing matters, she would notify her husband promptly. Haha, this elder carries no particular matter, only admiration for the illustrious Bai Lake Mountain Lord. Upon hearing that Lu Changxing was in closed-door cultivation, the enforcement elder refrained from disturbing him. After some casual chatter, he rose to take his leave. Elder Su, thank you for your troubles this trip. Please accept this humble token of gratitude. Lu Miaoyun presented a jade box to Elder Su. Utilizing his divine sense, Elder Su glanced inside and was stunned by the discovery, a third-rank talisman. He couldn't help but marvel at the sheer generosity of Bai Lake Mountain. No doubt, this act confirmed that the Bai Lake Mountain Lord's talisman path skills had reached third rank long ago. His expression brightened as he said warmly, Lady Lu, this is far too kind. Should your family encounter obstacles in substantiating your spirit land or transferring shop ownership, feel free to seek assistance from the enforcement hall. Likewise, if you face any issues in the future, you can look for this elder. I still command some influence within the sect. Elder Zust's demeanor shifted to one of heightened enthusiasm. This initial gesture of generosity from Bai Lake Mountain made him keen on establishing closer ties. After all, Bai Lake Mountain boasted Lu Changxing, the third-rank talisman master, along with a top-tier alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixirs. In the future he might need favors from Bai Lake Mountain. That's excellent. The family may very well trouble Elder Su in the future. Lu Miaoyun replied with an amiable smile. Silently, she praised her husband's foresight, having long anticipated that third-rank talismans could pave the way for forging family connections. After sending Elder Su on his way, she handed over the spiritual contract to Lu Xingyang for arrangements, assigning personnel to take over the spirit land and shops. With the Sima family's compensations, the feud between Bai Lake Mountain Lu family and Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family reached a temporary resolution. This matter didn't stir much attention. However, families like Jinlong Ridge Jin family, Lingxi Lake Xia family and Great Ape Mountain Yuan family kept a close watch. After all, rumors of Lu Changxing aligning with Kaiyun True Immortal were simply astounding, prompting further verification efforts. Observing the outcome of this matter, these families realized there was truth to the buzz. The entanglement between Bai Lake Mountain and Xuanwu Ridge had indeed drawn Kaiyun True Immortal's intervention. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, Qingyun Sect's usual approach would have been mutual reprimands. At that moment, these family forces grew increasingly wary of Bai Lake Mountain. For now, Bai Lake Mountain remained quiet, with family operations proceeding normally, and trade caravans continuing their journeys uninterrupted. But with Lu Pinggan's victory over Sima Tong, the caravans, now under Lu Rui's charge, no longer required Lu Pinggan to personally oversee them. Under typical circumstances, 1 or 2 foundation establishment cultivators were sufficient for caravan security. Half a month later, Xiao Xia arrived at Bai Lake Mountain, delivering news regarding the Tianyuan secret realm. Finding Lu Changxing in closed-door cultivation, she handed the secret realm token to Lu Miaoge. She explained that if Lu Changxing had yet to emerge from seclusion after a month, then they should notify him to proceed to Luoyun mountain range and head to the Tianyuan secret realm. Aside from this token, Xiao Xia left Lu Changxing another item, a keepsake. She stated that if needed, the keepsake could be used to contact her senior sister, Chu Qingyi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1284. The news of the 4 great immortal sects opening the Tianyuan secret realm did not cause much of a stir in the Jiang country cultivation realm. After all, this secret realm had little to do with most cultivators. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. 9 out of 10 cultivators in Jiang country hadn't even heard of the Tianyuan secret realm. However, the 4 great immortal sects releasing a portion of the secret realm quotas to their subordinate family forces caused these families to be both excited and joyful. Yet amidst the joy, some couldn't help but feel unease. They only had a vague understanding of the Tianyuan secret realm. They had heard rumors of how the opportunities within this realm drew the covetous gaze of many cultivators from other nations. There were even whispers of demonic path nascent soul cultivators lurking within the Jiang country cultivation realm, scheming to seize these opportunities. They feared the dangers they might encounter upon entering the secret realm. At this very moment, the Zhang family of Little Kong Mountain. Honored Envoy, this is the list of subordinate family forces under the jurisdiction of the Luoxia sect that have been granted quotas for the Tianyuan secret realm. The Zhang family patriarch knelt outside the forbidden courtyard of his family's grounds, prostrated himself, and presented a jade slip with a respectful tone. The Tianyuan secret realm is finally about to open? A serene and indifferent, yet slightly delighted and enchanting voice spoke from within the pavilion. A slender and graceful jade hand extended, taking the jade slip to assess its contents. A moment later, the figure dissolved into a cascade of purple stardust, vanishing without a trace. Such events, like at the Zhang family of Little Kong Mountain, occurred in many other places. Now, it's only a matter of waiting for the fish to take the bait. This battle must not be lost. At the same time, the high-ranking members of the 4 great immortal sects in Jiang country were also mobilizing in succession. For a time, hidden currents churned fiercely within the Jiang country cultivation realm. Bai Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. It's finally complete. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, gazing at the translucent, crystal-like formless treasure wheel before him, emitting a faint golden glow. With a subtle mental command, the treasure wheel hovered behind him, radiating 9-colored divine light, making his whole being appear sacred and extraordinary, with an awe-inspiring and solemn majesty. Buzz. The treasure wheel began to spin, its radiance brilliant. Around Lu Changxing, it seemed as though endless flames blazed and deafening thunder roared. In an instant, flying swords materialized one after another, forming a menacing assault. However, these attacks caused no actual damage to the cave heaven. They were all mere illusions created by the formless treasure wheel. The effects were both realistic and illusory. Even a nascent soul cultivator would need to discern carefully. In battle, even if such illusions could be recognized, they would still disrupt the opponent's mental focus. If he combined this effect with a technique or divine skill capable of truly blending illusion with reality, he could catch his opponents completely off guard. It's a pity that I've lacked the time and conditions to cultivate the Six Desires Heart Demon technique. Otherwise it would pair perfectly with the formless treasure wheel. Lu Changxing pondered to himself. The Six Desires Heart Demon technique was an intricate divine consciousness cultivation technique. If cultivated to profound levels, it could blur reality and illusion, deceiving and disrupting others' sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and thought. However, cultivating this technique was exceptionally dangerous and troublesome, requiring one to temper themselves against the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Domain. Lu Changxing formed a gesture incantation with one hand, and the formless treasure wheel behind him suddenly trembled. The originally 3-foot wide wheel expanded to 7 or 8 feet. Its intricate, radiant crystalline patterns began to flow, forming an invisible field that enveloped Lu Changxing within. This domain became increasingly tangible, forming a protective spiritual light that flowed around Lu Changxing's body. Formless domain. Lu Changxing formed successive incantations with his hands, his expression steady and focused. Buzz. In that instant, the spinning formless treasure wheel seemed to burn like a miniature sun, exuding an oppressive aura capable of suppressing mountains, rivers, and the vast heavens. Lu Changxing's divine sense swiftly entered the formless domain. Inside it resembled a boundless void. There were no rules or boundaries. Vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch all seemed to vanish, making it impossible to discern one's location. If one were to open their eyes and suddenly find themselves in such a place, even a cultivator would feel a surge of fear. Light. With a subtle shift of his mental focus, Lu Changxing activated the formless treasure wheel with his mana. Instantly the void gained a faint luster. But Lu Changxing was well aware that it was merely an illusion. The true formless domain was nothing but a confined void space. Not bad. After a brief experience of the formless treasure wheel's effects, Lu Changxing nodded in satisfaction. With a mere thought, he retracted the treasure into his Qi ocean core within his dantian and stepped out of his cave mansion. Changxing. Lu Miaoge, who had been instructing her son, sensed his presence. Seeing Lu Changxing, she approached to discuss the matter of the Tianyuan secret realm. So soon? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, then smiled. Good. By the way, Changxing. Lu Miaoge went on to inform Lu Changxing about another matter. A few days ago, a Foundation establishment faction called Misty Rain Market came to Bai Lake Mountain to seek help, expressing their willingness to become a vassal. Misty Rain Market? I recall that their prefect once came to us before but refused to accept the terms of vassalage. Why have they come again seeking it? Lu Changxing frowned slightly, recalling some impressions of this marketplace. They had previously visited Bai Lake Mountain, hinting at their intention to seek protection. However, their offered benefits were too meager, leading to no agreement. Instead, they only established a basic cooperative relationship, allowing the Lu Family Commerce Association to set up within Misty Rain Market. Yes. Lu Miaoge, her features refined and voice gentle, explained, this matter is connected to the Sima family. Previously, when Pingon was pursuing Sima Tong, the latter was ultimately captured at Misty Rain Market. It seems that after Sima Tong returned to his family some days ago, he was unwilling to let the matter rest. He sent people to Misty Rain Market to demand accountability, prompting Prefect Yu to seek our assistance and agree to vassalage. Lu Miaoge explained calmly. The Sima family truly is overbearing. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly at this and said, if they're now willing to accept vassalage and provide sufficient benefits, there's no harm in agreeing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1285. Lu Changxing was quite pleased with a faction like Misty Rain Market coming to pledge allegiance. After all, under Bai Lake Mountain's name, there were no truly presentable subordinate forces at the moment. Misty Rain Market not only had 2 Foundation establishment cultivators holding the fort, but also lacked entangled interests and complexities. Moreover, they could provide significant profits annually, making them quite a high-quality faction. The prefect of Misty Rain Market is willing to agree to all subjugation terms, but she also has one condition. Lu Miaoge paused briefly and said softly. Oh? What's the condition? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow slightly. She hopes you can take her as a concubine, Lu Miaoge spoke in a gentle tone. Lu Changxing froze for a moment. He hadn't expected such a request from the other party. Had his charm really reached such heights? However, Lu Changxing instantly understood. The other party likely wanted to further solidify the relationship through this method to secure greater benefits. This woman does have some courage. Lu Changxing chuckled softly and said, if her character is decent, there's no harm in agreeing. For a foundation establishment cultivator to willingly propose becoming a concubine, as long as her character passed muster, the Lu ancestor wouldn't mind giving her a chance. Moreover, Misty Rain Market's allegiance to his family could greatly benefit its development. As the lord of Bai Lake Mountain, he was willing to make a bit of personal sacrifice for the family. Sister Ling has already investigated beforehand, so she made the decision directly. When you're free, Changxing, you can make a trip to Misty Rain Market to settle this matter. Lu Miaoge, gentle as water, spoke softly. CTH Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Hearing this, Lu Changxing was somewhat speechless. Grasping Lu Miaoge's fair hand, he spoke warmly, Sister Miaoge? It's all right, Changxing. Lu Miaoge gently shook her head. The two had been husband and wife for many years. She knew her husband had no unusual hobbies except for his wish to fill the house with children and grandchildren, building a large family with abundant blessings. She even knew that in his youth, Lu Changxing had resolved to marry hundreds of wives and father hundreds of children in his lifetime. Now, with a foundation female cultivator possessing good character and appearance proactively volunteering, she naturally wished to support her husband. The two chatted for a while before Lu Changxing checked in on his son, Lu Qingxian, and his cultivation progress. He then paid visits to other wives, concubines, and children in the household and spent time with a maidservant he had recently taken in. 5 days later, with the time for the Tianyuan secret realm approaching, Lu Changxing didn't hurry to Misty Rain Market to take concubines but went directly to the secret realm instead. Changxing, husband, take care on the road. Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and others expressed their concern. They had all heard about the Tianyuan secret realm. However, previously Xiao Xia had visited and shared some details, claiming it was very safe. Moreover, they knew their husband's cultivation strength well, so their worry wasn't excessive. Haha, don't worry. Lu Changxing smiled as he bid farewell to the women before boarding his purple flying shuttle and heading for the Luoyun mountain range. The quota for the Tianyuan secret realm wasn't allocated to every family or power. Factions like Qingzhou Mountain and Hundred Birds Lake didn't receive any slots. Thus, on this trip, Lu Changxing was traveling alone and had no companions. I wonder if he'll encounter any ambushers. Clad in a cyan robe, standing atop the purple flying shuttle, Lu Changxing mused to himself. Previously, when chatting with Xiao Xie, Shed speculated that the opening of the Tianyuan secret realm might be a trap set by the 4 great immortal sects. She even suspected that family cultivators like them were merely bait for the 4 great immortal sects. Because while the secret realm's entry was allowed for sect disciples, spots were also given to certain family powers. Sect disciples naturally had the protection of their sect elders, ensuring they faced no dangers during the journey. Family cultivators traveling alone, however, might encounter ambushes, their identities stolen, and someone else sneaking into the secret realm in their place. It would actually be nice to encounter a couple of demonic path golden core cultivators. Lu Changxing was not afraid. In fact, he looked forward to running into a few demonic path nascent soul cultivators. In his possession was a cultivation technique called the Brahmin Demon True Saint technique. The cultivation of this technique was extremely stringent. It required demonic Tao origin, heavenly demon blood, and a Buddhist relic for marrow cleansing and body refinement before it could be practiced successfully. He had barely managed to gather the heavenly demon blood. But as for the demonic Tao origin and the Buddhist relic, Lu Changxing still had no leads. So, if he could suppress 1 or 2 demonic path golden core cultivators, it might help him gather the demonic Tao origin. Of course, such notions were merely idle thoughts. Golden core cultivators were exceedingly rare. Moreover, condensing a superior gold core through demonic techniques was even harder than doing so with orthodox methods. Thus, obtaining such a demonic Tao origin was probably more difficult than acquiring heavenly demon blood. The journey from Bai Lake Mountain to the Luoyun mountain range was quite substantial. Considering the possibility of a trap by the 4 great immortal sects and potential ambushes by demonic path foundation establishment cultivators along the way, Lu Changxing decided to act as bait himself, deliberately projecting the cultivation level of a mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator while piloting the purple flying shuttle. A month later, Lu Changxing reached the Luoyun mountain range. The journey had been uneventful. He hadn't even encountered a single ambushing or rogue cultivator, which left him somewhat disappointed. However, this wasn't unexpected. Jiang country's cultivation realm was vast, and there were likely no more than 20 or 30 nascent soul cultivators drawn here for the opportunity. The odds of encountering them were naturally slim. Upon reaching the Luoyun mountain range, however, the atmosphere grew livelier. Every so often, another cultivator could be seen flying swiftly to the area. It seemed that, like him, they had obtained entry to the Tianyuan secret realm. At present, the Luoyun mountain range remained in a state of lockdown, patrolled heavily by sect disciples. All entrants were required to present their identity tokens. Under the guidance of these sect disciples, it wasn't long before Lu Changxing arrived at the location of the Tianyuan secret realm. A temporary base was stationed there, enveloped in dense spiritual light, likely supported by a third-order formation. There isn't even a third-order spirit vein here, so the operation of this formation must entirely rely on burning spirit stones. As expected of the four great immortal sects, truly wealthy, Lu Changxing thought to himself as he stepped forward to present both his identity token and the secret realm token given to him by Xiao Xie, gaining entry to the outpost. Please. The sect disciple, after verifying his identity, made a welcoming gesture. Entering the formation's gate, Lu Changxing found himself in a narrow corridor stretching endlessly into the distance. The corridor was about a zhang in height and width, made entirely of pitch-black stone, sealed tightly enough to cause a sense of mental oppression and discomfort. This seems to have been constructed with mystical iron essence, Tiangang mystical iron, and a few other minerals, thus possessing a divine sense isolation effect. As a third-order artifact refiner, Lu Changxing immediately discerned a few details. Attempting to probe the walls with his divine sense, he immediately felt a layer of energy blocking him, preventing penetration. Though he could likely break through with full effort, doing so might trigger hidden prohibitions, alerting others to any abnormalities. It appears the four great immortal sects prepared thoroughly, setting up a heaven and earth net from the very entrance. Striding forward, Lu Changxing pondered, somewhat concerned whether his cultivation realm would be seen through. Although the sealing divine light of the nine treasures Rui Bone could conceal his cultivation and mana levels, making them undetectable. This time, it seemed the four great immortal sects had employed numerous sophisticated means. What if their measures could see through disguises and detect cultivation realms? If the worst happens, he'll simply escape using the teleportation talisman or life-substituting talisman and claim I encountered some danger en route. Maintaining a calm expression, Lu Changxing continued forward steadily. After nearly a quarter of an hour, a rippling gate appeared before him. Stepping through, the world around him transformed completely. He found himself in a square underground palace. Here the air was saturated with incomparably dense spiritual energy, leaving one feeling refreshed and at ease. This spiritual energy, Lu Changxing felt a bit astonished. With his dragon-seeking art, he had not detected a third-order spirit vein prior to entering. Yet the density and purity of the spiritual energy here were nearly on par with those of a middle to upper third-order spirit vein. Could this spiritual energy be emanating from the Tianyuan secret realm? Lu Changxing observed a fissure nearby, large enough for a person to pass through. From the fissure, clouds of dense, mist-like spiritual energy continually flowed out. Fellow Taoist, please be patient for a few more days. A sect disciple addressed Lu Changxing, indicating that he could rest and cultivate in the meantime. The spiritual energy here was enough to support the cultivation of over 100 Foundation establishment cultivators. Thank you. Lu Changxing nodded slightly and found a spot to rest. The place already had a good number of individuals gathered, including someone Lu Changxing recognized. It was Jin Zan, the ancestor of the Jin family of Golden Dragon Ridge. Given the lack of cordial relations between their families, the two merely exchanged indifferent glances before Jin Zan closed his eyes. Lu Changxing paid it no mind and sat quietly in meditation. In the following days, more people trickled in periodically. One day, an exceptionally handsome young man stepped into the palace, causing Lu Changxing's heart to throb faintly, an odd sense of foreboding washing over him. The young man's gaze immediately locked onto Lu Changxing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1286. Lu Changsheng's heart trembled. A cultivator's spiritual sense was extraordinary, rarely stirred without reason. Having broken through to core formation and awakened the Tai divine soul, his heightened perception made it even less likely for this inexplicable unease to occur for no reason. Through this faint, fleeting sense of unease, Lu Changsheng vaguely sensed an intriguing familiarity coming from the other party? Familiarity? Lu Changsheng was certain he had never met or known the other party before. So, the other party was most likely disguised. Peach Blossom Gu activate. Lu Changxing recalled a similar feeling when he encountered Meng Xiaochan in Jiuxiao Immortal City back in the day. Withdrawing his gaze, he questioned the Peach Blossom Gu. Buzz? In an instant, the Peach Blossom Gu transmitted a message through intent, indicating a strong intertwining of Peach Blossom luck between the two of them. Nangong Meili? Through this surge of Peach Blossom luck, Lu Changxing immediately deduced the other party's identity. It was none other than the woman he had once pierced through with a spear, whose hips were as round as grinding stones. As for the feeling of familiarity, he now understood its origin. It stemmed from the misty sky bead he had given her and the sliver of golden core charm he had nurtured for her. Why does this woman always seek out such perilous situations? Lu Changxing felt a twinge of displeasure in his heart. A mother with a child should stay home to care for her daughter. Why wander around Jiang Country's cultivation realm all day long? First, the Jiuxiao Immortal City incident involved her. Now the Tianyuan secret realm does too? Does she purposely seek out danger wherever it arises? But meeting her isn't altogether bad. It's high time I resolve the entanglement between us. When the time comes, traveling to the Jin Kingdom with her to visit Yao Yao will be much more convenient. Lu Changsheng's expression remained calm and composed, though he contemplated inwardly. He planned to make a trip to the cultivation realm of the Jin Kingdom after the emergence of the Red Lotus. Sar the novel undershafar. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yet he knew very little about the Jin Kingdom. Reuniting with his daughter might prove challenging. With Nangong Meili accompanying him, however, things would be far easier. As for whether she was willing or not, Lu Changxing trusted in his own charm. Lu Changxing? Lu Changxing's perception hadn't erred. The handsome young man before him was indeed Nangong Meili in disguise, using the misty sky bead. Seeing Lu Changxing, Nangong Meili also appeared slightly shaken and surprised. How unexpected encountering him here. This saves me an extra trip. Nangong Meili barely glanced at Lu Changxing before calmly finding a spot to sit cross-legged. Originally, she had planned to visit by Lake Mountain after the Secret Realm expedition to check on Lu Changxing. Now, seeing Lu Changxing here, she decided to wait for the right moment to abduct him instead. Time passed gradually. People arrived at the Grand Hall one after another. Forces like the beast-taming Su family, Five Elements Wang family, Shangguan family, Dansha Mountain, and Huanin sect all gathered. Seeing the 5 people arriving from the beast-taming Su family, Lu Changxing was slightly surprised. Because Su Rian was unexpectedly among them. She's here too. Lu Changxing felt a tinge of astonishment. But after a moment he understood. The beast-taming Su family possessed slots for the secret realm, and as one of the Su family's proudest talents, Su Rian receiving a slot was entirely reasonable. He nodded at Su Rian as a gesture of acknowledgement but didn't engage her in conversation. Beyond Su Rian he recognized few others. The only one who stood out was a woman with a painted-like visage, her face veiled in white silk, exuding an ethereal charm. She was from the Huanin sect, someone he vaguely recalled being called the Qin Fairy, a disciple of the sect master. Qin Fairy. The title amused Lu Changxing somewhat. He remembered months ago, his daughter Lu Wangshu had made her name known in the Red Leaf Valley market during a battle, earning the playful epithet, Talisman Fairy. She had complained to him afterward, saying that such titles were utterly overused. In Jiang Country's cultivation realm, titles like Talisman Fairy, Qin Fairy, Sword Fairy, and Flower Fairy were dime a dozen. Once the beast-taming Su family, Dansha Mountain, and Huanin sect had all arrived, a 30-strong group entered the hall. They wore the attire of disciples from the Luoxia sect, exuding the imposing presence of Foundation establishment cultivators. It seems unlikely anything major will go wrong in this secret realm. If anything does happen, the 4 great immortal sects will suffer tremendous losses. Lu Changxing observed the scene, thinking to himself. Though the 4 great immortal sects were not short of Foundation establishment cultivators, Foundation establishment was not as common as cabbages and formed the backbone of their sections. Besides, these Foundation establishment cultivators weren't ordinary, They were elite disciples within their sections. After the Luoxia sect's arrival, it wasn't long before the Qingyun sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Heavenly Sword sect followed suit. It was Lu Changsheng's first time witnessing such an enormous gathering. The Grand Hall held nearly 300 Foundation establishment cultivators. If a demonic path true monarch were to attack now, wiping everyone out in one fell swoop, the entire Jiang country cultivation realm would be half crippled with severe damage to its vital energy. Lu Changxing sighed internally, scanning the cultivators present with curiosity, wondering how many demonic path cultivators had managed to blend in. He refused to believe Nangong Meili was the only demonic path nascent soul hiding among them. Just then, ripples began to stir in the void's crack in the distance. Out stepped an old man with white hair and beard, radiating an air of immortality, his robe fluttering effortlessly. Following him was a woman with sword-like brows as sharp as ink-painted mountains, her icy countenance glowing like a snow lotus in bloom. Her high ponytail added to her aloof disposition, and on her back she carried a magical sword emanating cold, shimmering strands. "Greetings, true person Ling Feng." "Greetings, true person Qing Yi." Some immediately recognized the two figures, expressing respectful gazes and clasping their hands in salute. Even cultivators from family forces who didn't recognize them were well aware that they were core formation immortals from the four great immortal sects, prompting them all to bow courteously. "Hey, now that everyone has arrived, this old man won't waste time with small talk. Line up in order and enter the secret realm one by one." The immortal-like Ling Feng true person surveyed the crowd before speaking, his tone infinitely kind. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1287. After speaking, he cast a spell toward the crack in the secret realm before him. Suddenly, radiant light surged around the crack. The ground trembled slightly, forming a massive formation about 10 feet wide, interwoven with a layer of shimmering white spiritual light. What kind of formation is this? Lu Changxing had some knowledge of formations, but not extensive research, so he couldn't discern what this formation was. However, a few individuals observed the formation with subtle expressions, their expressions carrying a trace of solemnity. Soon, figures began to pass through the formation one after another, entering the secret realm through the crack. Buzz. At that moment, a thin old man stepped onto the array patterns, and suddenly a surge of demonic energy erupted. A demon cultivator. "How dare you, demon cultivator?" Upon witnessing this demonic energy, someone instantly exclaimed, "See the Oval Fire." At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Buzz. In a flash, the kind-looking old man with an immortal demeanor suddenly widened his eyes, his entire presence resembling a mighty lion awakening. The array patterns and prohibitions within the palace surged forth, producing a powerful and terrifying spiritual pressure that bore down on the thin old man. At the same time, Chu Kinjia's azure longsword swiftly unsheathed, unleashing dazzling sword light. Splat! The thin old man was instantly obliterated by the sword light. So this is a nascent soul immortal. How frightening! The crowd stirred in awe, their expressions respectful and reverent as they looked toward Lingfeng Immortal and Chu Qingyi. Especially many of the male cultivators, whose gazes toward Chu Qingyi showed admiration, fascination, and infatuation. "Hey, even a false core cultivator has come here hoping to stir up trouble." Lu Changxing watched the scene, his expression calm and indifferent. He thought to himself how foolish it was for this false core patriarch to interfere in such matters. Still, he could somewhat understand this behavior. It was likely that as a false core immortal, his lifespan was nearing its end. The Tianyuan secret realm had been spoken of in such a mysterious and miraculous manner. Perhaps it contained a supreme opportunity to transform a false core into a true one, so he had come to test his luck. But it's a pity, he didn't even make it through the door. Lu Changxing sighed inwardly and shifted his gaze toward the handsome young man disguised as Nangong Meili. He wondered to himself, given that Nangong Meili possessed the misty sky bead, could his disguise avoid detection? If he was detected, the situation would become troublesome. Even if he wanted to intervene, it would be hard to do so. Humph, there really are demonic path thieves mixed in among us. Lingfeng Immortal snorted coldly. Then his stern expression returned to its original benevolent visage, and he said to those before him, "Everyone, pay it no mind and proceed." The figures in the crowd resumed lining up, entering the secret realm one by one. Seeing Nangong Meili enter, Lu Changxing breathed a slight sigh of relief, silently noting that this formation was somewhat remarkable, but not overly so. Just as it was his turn, a green-clad woman stepped forward, and thin strands of faint demonic energy began to emerge from her body. Huh? Lu Changxing noticed the sudden danger and immediately stepped back behind the crowd. Boom! In an instant, the palace's prohibitions surged, forming a terrifying spiritual pressure that bore down on the green-clad woman. Beside him, Chu Qingyi moved swiftly, her sword light glinting coldly as if snow were falling in June. The green-clad woman's face shifted, and demonic energy churned around her, manifesting into a black-red demon armor. But within the blink of an eye, Chu Qingyi's vast, azure sword light descended, piercing through her demon armor as though ignoring its existence, cleaving her body in two. Yet the moment her body was split in half, she transformed into a cloud of black-red blood mist, surging to engulf the surrounding cultivators. Demonic path thief, how dare you act so boldly? Ling Feng Immortal's voice rang out coldly as he summoned an object resembling a celestial chessboard. Array patterns brimmed with spiritual energy, encasing the blood mist completely. Buzz. The blood mist was immediately confined, revealing a pale, sinister middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's complexion was pale, his left arm shriveled and lifeless, leaving his sleeve empty. This is the substitute tribulation technique? Lu Changxing's pupils narrowed as he recognized the method. The principle was somewhat akin to substitute talismans. When faced with an unavoidable assault, one could redirect the damage to another object. Among demonic path secret techniques, it often involved sacrificing one's own limbs or internal organs. Go! The sinister man realized it would be impossible to act in the palace and immediately retrieved an ancient jade talisman from his sleeve. Surrounding himself with an invisible layer of spiritual light, he attempted to escape the palace. However, the palace was forged from special materials, inscribed with array patterns. Even a nascent soul immortal could not rush out directly. Simultaneously. Swish, swish, swish. Chu Qingyi's sword emitted bursts of light, slashing toward the sinister man, suffusing the entire palace with an icy bone-chilling sword intent, cold as the depths of winter. Slash, slash, slash. The sword light shattered the spiritual light surrounding the sinister man, leaving blood marks across his body. His complexion grew pale and weak, and he could only rush toward the entrance portal. The portal too bore prohibitions. But he had used a talisman earlier with forbidden breaking effects, forcefully breaking through the portal and vanishing from sight. The tunnel outside spans several miles, escaping won't be easy. Besides, there are likely ambushes waiting outside. Lu Changxing observed this with a quiet sigh, feeling that the four great immortal sects' layout was akin to a trap to corner the prey. Even if nascent soul cultivators entered, they faced only death. Moreover, he noticed that the white-robed elder and Chu Qingyi hadn't gone all out earlier. It seemed that both were wary of the sinister man being driven to desperation and self-destructing his core formation, thus leaving him a sliver of hope. After all, even if his abilities were average and his core formation of low quality, the self-destruction of a core within a crowd would still cause considerable trouble. That man earlier was a nascent soul immortal, yet he couldn't muster the strength to fight back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1288. Fairy Qingyi has condensed a superior gold core. How could ordinary people compare? What? This Fairy Qingyi actually possesses a superior gold core? No wonder. Within the crowd, some gazed at Chu Qingyi and murmured softly. The earlier act of slaying a false core with a single sword strike seemed only natural in everyone's eyes. Yet at this moment, seeing a demonic path nascent soul unable to muster even a counterattack against the two, many in the crowd felt shocked. After a brief commotion, Venerable Lingfeng spoke up and ordered the queue to continue. Lu Changxing then stepped forward, passed through the formation, and entered the Fisher's secret realm. In an instant, the heavens and earth transformed. So this is the Tianyuan secret realm? Lu Changxing stood amidst a fragrant meadow, surrounded by lush greenery, with towering ancient trees visible in the distance. The cultivators who had entered earlier were all waiting nearby. CTH novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Apart from these individuals, there were also two nascent soul immortals stationed here. One of them was someone Lu Changxing recognized. It was none other than the spirit-taming sect immortal, Venerable Wuxia, whom he had encountered when visiting the Myriad Beasts mountain range years ago. It seems the four great immortal sects have mobilized all the manpower they can muster for this expedition. Lu Changxing thought to himself as he surveyed the secret realm. It bore resemblance to the outside world, yet the sky dome lacked the presence of the sun and moon. Despite the abundant spiritual energy, spiritual mechanisms were absent. This secret realm resembles Mount Sumerus cave heaven in certain aspects, yet here the spiritual mechanisms are severed, resulting in a lack of vitality. Lu Changxing recalled Xiao Xia once explaining the general circumstances of the Tianyuan secret realm. He knew that the four great immortal sects had already emptied this secret realm. Thus, the severed spiritual mechanisms and lack of vitality imparted a somewhat desolate vibe. Even with spiritual mechanisms severed, there's still such an abundance of spiritual energy. This Tianyuan secret realm likely once harbored a fourth-order spirit vein. Observing the flowing spiritual energy within the secret realm, Lu Changxing mused inwardly. For a moment, it became difficult to imagine just how flourishing this secret realm must have been before its development. Without lingering to observe further, Lu Changxing found a spot to sit and rest. After some time, everyone had entered the secret realm, including Venerable Lingfeng and Chu Qingyi. However, Lu Changxing keenly noted that 3 individuals were missing compared to before. Likely, after he entered, 3 more demonic cultivators had been discovered and dealt with. Everyone follow me. Venerable Lingfeng spoke in a gentle tone, leading the group deeper into the secret realm. This secret realm was vast. Not only did it feature lush forests, but also expansive grasslands, pitch-black mountain ranges, and sprawling ruins of dilapidated structures. Is this merely a secret realm? It might as well be a small world, Lu Changxing marveled in his heart. This was his first time entering such a dungeon-like secret realm. Even though the secret realm had been completely developed and left as an empty shell, it still managed to surprise him greatly. After an hour, Lu Changxing spotted a towering stone monument ahead, as immense as a small mountain. The monument was grand and magnificent, appearing like stone yet seeming as though forged from gold and iron. It exuded an air of majesty, etched with an ancient and timeless aura. Upon approaching the stone monument, one couldn't help but feel small and insignificant, accompanied by an oppressive heaviness akin to a mountain's weight. Everyone, this heaven monument is the ultimate opportunity within the Tianyuan secret realm. As long as you calm your heart and contemplate, you may gain insights into the great Tao or receive inheritance of cultivation techniques from the heaven monument. At this moment, Venerable Lingfeng spoke cordially, saying, "All of you present here are either the future hopes of the Jiang country cultivation realm or its pillars and foundations. The four great immortal sects offer this rare opportunity for shared benefit, with the hope that everyone will work together to make the Jiang country cultivation realm more prosperous overall, so cherish it well. Should anyone gain a cultivation technique inheritance while contemplating the heaven monument, you will need to transcribe a copy for us. However, the four great immortal sects will not take advantage of you. We will provide resources and contribution value proportionate to the value of the cultivation technique inheritance." Venerable Lingfeng, dressed in a flowing white robe, radiated warmth with his gentle demeanor, speaking kindly to the cultivators present. Nonetheless, everyone had glimpsed this immortal's capacity for fierce wrath before. "Thank you, Venerable. Rest assured, Venerable. We will surely cooperate hand in hand with the Supreme Sect. Our family exists today entirely thanks to the Supreme Sect. We will wholeheartedly repay this grace. Without the Supreme Sect, my Wang family wouldn't exist. My family is willing to dedicate everything to the Supreme Sect." Immediately, many clan cultivators voiced their loyalty. As for the disciples of the four great immortal sects, they were already familiar with these rules and simply clasped their hands in acknowledgement. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1289. Alright, let's begin. After briefly explaining, Venerable Lingfeng instructed the 9 individuals to step forward and attempt to comprehend the inheritance of the heaven tablet. The first batch of 9 cultivators appeared slightly nervous as they sat cross-legged before the stone tablet, placing both hands upon its surface and channeling their mana into it. Lu Changxing quietly observed the scene, trying to decipher the mysteries hidden within the stone tablet. Yet, without utilizing his pupil skills or fire golden eye, Lu Changxing couldn't discern anything peculiar. He merely sensed that once the 9 individuals injected their mana, the stone tablet seemed to radiate an endless flow of great Tao principles, exuding a mysterious and profound aura. Could this stone tablet be some kind of inheritance treasure? Lu Changxing pondered to himself, watching for a while before ceasing his observation and sitting cross-legged. Time passed little by little. About an hour later, among the 9 individuals comprehending the heaven tablet, one of them opened his eyes with an expression of slight confusion and reluctance. He gazed at the stone tablet before him, placed his hands on it again and injected mana. Yet, the stone tablet seemed to possess an invisible force that repelled and rejected him. Everyone can only obtain opportunities from it once. Next. Upon witnessing this, Venerable Lingfeng calmly remarked. He then summoned the individual to inquire about the inheritance opportunity obtained from the stone tablet. Although Lu Changxing couldn't hear their conversation, upon seeing Venerable Lingfeng's expression remaining unmoved, he deduced that the cultivation technique inheritance likely did not yield any surprises. According to Shiyu, the Heaven Tablet offers each individual a unique Great Tao insight and cultivation technique inheritance, though repetitions may occur. The 4 great immortal sects have released such benefits not only to win over people's loyalty but also to gather all of Jiang country's extraordinary talents. Presumably, they aim to extract as many cultivation techniques from this event as possible. Moreover, even if family forces obtain top-level cultivation techniques, all the spells and methods of these techniques are firmly controlled by the 4 great immortal sects, including ways to counteract or deconstruct them. Lu Changxing mused inwardly. And so, time continued to pass bit by bit. The cultivators present stepped forward in an orderly fashion to comprehend the Heaven Tablet. During this process, Lu Changxing noticed a pattern. The longer one's comprehension lasted, the greater the likely benefits. As for the factors determining the duration of comprehension, Lu Changxing remained unclear, speculating it might relate to talent, comprehension, cultivation level, realm, and other such factors. On this day, Lu Changxing observed a young man finishing his comprehension of the Heaven Tablet. After handing over the cultivation technique inheritance to Venerable Lingfeng, the man's hand, retreating into his sleeve, seemed to execute a furtive motion. The motion was subtle and concealed. If not for Lu Changxing having awakened the Tai divine soul, with a divine sense rivaling the peak of core formation, and coincidentally looking toward the man, he might not have even noticed it. Could this man be a demonic path cultivator? Lu Changxing speculated internally, finding the man's behavior suspicious. He even suspected the man to be a demonic path nascent soul cultivator who, after comprehending the Heaven Tablet and confirming its contents, was now transmitting information to the outside world. Still, though he had noticed something was amiss, speaking up about it now was unwise. After all, there were 4 nascent soul immortals presiding over this place. If he, merely at Foundation establishment mid-stage, suddenly voiced suspicions about someone, it would seem unreasonable. Moreover, the 4 great immortal sects had laid down a heaven and earth net within the Tianyuan secret realm, and this situation might well be intentional. If chaos truly erupts, I hope it waits until I've finished comprehending the Heaven Tablet. Lu Changxing's expression remained composed. Although his interest in the Heaven Tablet's inheritance wasn't profound, since he was here, he naturally wished to experience it. However, not long after, boom! Suddenly, a deafening sound of collapse tore through, causing the entire secret realm to tremble and quake violently. Sir, the novel, Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What's happening? What's going on? All present abruptly opened their eyes, their expressions marked by confusion, surprise, and dread. Even those still comprehending the Heaven Tablet snapped awake, bewildered and uncertain, glancing around in mutual astonishment. Is there really a demonic path disturbance? Lu Changxing's heart surged with surprise, confirming his earlier observation of information being transmitted externally. Otherwise, could it truly be mere coincidence? Moreover, the intensity of this commotion indicated the intruders were no ordinary individuals. Chu Qingyi, Venerable Huxiao, and several others furrowed their brows in unison, collectively gazing toward the entrance of the secret realm. Remain calm. Venerable Lingfeng seemed to have anticipated this scenario, taking a step forward and shouting with a deep voice. As he spoke, the power and presence of nascent soul-level mana pervaded the area, bringing the chaotic atmosphere to an abrupt halt. I trust you've all heard the rumors about certain demonic path thieves coveting the opportunities within this secret realm. But these inherited opportunities within the secret realm are not yours for the taking. Those rats in the shadows who dare come will face utter annihilation. Clad in a flowing white robe, his hair and beard snow-white, Venerable Lingfeng exuded an aura of divine majesty, yet his tone carried undeniable authority and resolve. After finishing, his demeanor shifted, his expression stern and resolute as he said, "Many among you have yet to encounter demonic path cultivators. But the cultivation realm of Jiang country has always stood in opposition to the demonic path. And so, I must remind you all, we as cultivators wrest life from the heavens. If you wish to break through core formation or nascent soul, then in the future, you will inevitably clash with the demonic path. Only by harboring no fear, cutting through myriad demons, both external and internal, can you navigate the thorny path to seek your true self and inquire of the great Tao of Changsheng." Venerable Lingfeng's robe billowed as he spoke with an overwhelming presence, his voice projecting clearly into everyone's ears. "Thank you for the guidance, Venerable Immortal. We understand. Rest assured, Venerable Immortal, should we encounter demonic path cultivators, we will harbor no fear and show no mercy. We stand firmly opposed to the demonic path." The gathered cultivators, hearing these words, felt their anxiety dissipate instantly, knowing the four great immortal sects were fully prepared. They bowed respectfully and spoke out loudly. However, Lu Changxing couldn't help but notice that while many family cultivators displayed seemingly passionate and resolute expressions, their behaviors were clearly superficial and ingratiating. Only the disciples of the immortal sects truly exhibited stirred emotions and steadfast determination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1290. This is normal. They all belong to the elites of their sects, instilled from the very beginning of their cultivation with the notion of being irreconcilable with the demonic path. Throughout their growth and cultivation, many have either personally experienced or witnessed incidents involving the demonic path. Like the demon subjugation order several decades ago, many participated, heard of it, and firmly believed themselves to be righteous, with the mission of slaying demons and vanquishing devils. However, when Lu Changxing saw the youth disguised by Nangong merely shouting passionately in response, a strange feeling welled up in his heart. As a core formation immortal, Venerable Lingfeng's spiritual sense was extraordinary, and he naturally understood that most of the clan cultivators here were seasoned veterans. Thus, he didn't pay much attention to these people. If a war between the righteous and demonic paths truly broke out, would these clan cultivators even have the luxury to refuse? Besides, once war begins, it could also serve as a stepping stone for clan cultivators to rise in status. If you don't fight, someone else certainly will. But in the very next moment, boom, 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 another series of earth-shattering sounds erupted, making the entire secret realm quake violently as if an earthquake had struck. Venerable Lingfeng's face suddenly changed dramatically. Not just him, Chu Qingyi, Venerable Hu Xiao, and another core formation immortal all shared the same sudden drastic change in expression, exchanging glances. Immediately, Venerable Lingfeng looked at everyone present and said, "Now that the demonic path cultivators are attacking, the matter of comprehending the heavenly monument will be postponed for the time being. First, you will retreat with me." Could the situation have taken a turn? Looking at the scene before him and the expressions of the four, Lu Changxing sensed that something was wrong. If the four great immortal sects had already laid down a heaven and earth net to trap and kill intruders, how could it have turned out like this? Indeed, the four great immortal sects could ensnare and slaughter by luring people in. But if the demonic path had sent people, they could also block the exits of the secret realm, trapping prey like turtles in a jar. Moreover, mixed within the group of present cultivators were a fair number of core formation experts from other countries. If this group colluded with the individuals outside, it would spell major trouble. In an instant, Lu Changxing became even more cautious. Search *the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Many of the cultivators present also began to sense that something was amiss. Yet at this moment no one dared to slack off or voice doubts. They all obediently followed Venerable Lingfeng's guidance. Moments later, Venerable Lingfeng summoned an array plate and formation flags, directing everyone to designated positions. He promptly commanded the disciples of the four great immortal sects to arrange themselves systematically, forming an overwhelming battle formation through tokens and secret techniques. Battle formation. Lu Changxing observed how the disciples of the four sects synchronized their auras until they exuded a force so powerful it seemed capable of swallowing rivers and mountains. It was clearly some kind of battle formation. The four sects' foundation establishment disciples had each formed their own formation. If they went all out, they might even hold their own against a core formation immortal. Damn it, this venerable Lingfeng clearly knows there are demonic path core formation experts mixed in here. Lu Changxing thought to himself as he observed the strategic placements. The clan cultivators, including himself, were intentionally positioned out to the side. Meanwhile, the disciples of the four great immortal sects had taken the central and most fortified positions, their formations arranged in four directions. It was evident that Venerable Lingfeng was aware of the presence of foreign core formation experts among them but hadn't pinpointed their exact identities. If an unexpected situation really arises, I'll have no choice but to disguise myself as a core formation cultivator from another country. Lu Changxing murmured to himself, keeping an eye on the previously suspicious cultivators. By now, he was almost certain that the current chaos in the secret realm was connected to those individuals. Boom, boom, boom. The secret realm trembled more intensely, nearly to the point of collapse, with the surrounding spiritual energy becoming increasingly chaotic. Venerable Immortal, may I ask if staying here poses any danger to us? If the demonic path is attacking, we are willing to contribute our efforts. A moment later, a bold clan cultivator couldn't contain himself, gritting his teeth and addressing Venerable Lingfeng. Outside the secret realm, Shenzhen True Monarch is standing guard. It won't be long before these demonic path thieves are dealt with. Venerable Lingfeng replied calmly, his expression composed. Shenzhen True Monarch. What? Shenzhen True Monarch is actually standing guard outside the secret realm. Could all this commotion be Shenzhen True Monarch engaged in a fight? Hearing this name, everyone gasped in surprise, their eyes filled with reverence and awe. Shenzhen True Monarch, the ruler of the Jiang country cultivation realm, the ocean-calming divine needle. No one would doubt the strength of this nascent soul true lord. Upon hearing that this true monarch was holding the line outside the secret realm, those who were previously anxious and fearful quickly felt reassured. Even Lu Changxing was taken aback by this revelation. Yet, deep in his heart, his worry only deepened. If Shenzhen True Monarch had come to oversee the Tianyuan secret realm and had caused such an immense disturbance, it meant that the demonic path, or perhaps other factions, might also have a nascent soul true lord present. And for a demonic path true monarch to dare infiltrate the Jiang country cultivation realm, they must be thoroughly prepared. The Tianyuan secret realm has drawn so many core formation immortals here. There must be some powerful force orchestrating this behind the scenes. Could it be this very faction? Lu Changxing couldn't believe that his first journey into a secret realm had turned into such an ordeal. Damn it, and I haven't even comprehended the great Tao insights from the heavenly monument yet. Thinking of his original purpose for coming here, Lu Changxing felt deeply frustrated. But given the current circumstances, he had no choice but to wait and see how events unfolded. Rumble, 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 the tremors of the secret realm grew increasingly violent, as if the entire earth were collapsing and crumbling. Just then, boom! A deafening sound like the sky shattering and the earth splitting erupted. In an instant, the sky changed color and thunder roared. No, the heavenly monument has collapsed. Someone cried out, looking toward the monument, their voice trembling with fear. They saw the towering heavenly monument, once standing like a mountain, now breaking apart under the tremors and crashing down catastrophically. Whoosh, 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 as the monument fell, a vast ancient gray-black mist roared upward like a gaping abyss, swallowing the boundless spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The sky resounded with thunderous roars, as if demons were shrieking and ghosts were wailing. Kill, kill, kill. I hate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1291. The fierce wind howled and an eerie, elusive sound echoed throughout heaven and earth, wailing mournfully. There were men, women, the elderly, the young. The voices were hoarse, piercing, somber, howling, sharp, and chilling to the core. At the same time, countless ghosts drifted out from the pitch-black aura, their faces twisted and terrifying, exuding boundless resentment. Not good. What is happening? How could there be so many ghosts suppressed beneath the Tianyuan secret realm? No, these are no longer ghosts, they're ghost cultivators. Venerable Lingfeng and Chu Qingyi, along with the others, turned pale upon witnessing the scene. They had long realized that the wordless monument was no ordinary object and deemed it the core of the secret realm. Thus, their plan was to exhaust all its opportunities and inheritances before attempting to break open the monument. But they hadn't expected the external battle beyond the secret realm to directly impact the monument, causing it to shatter and collapse. And beneath this monument was sealed such an enormous terror. Ghosts? Why are there so many ghosts? Everyone present turned pale upon seeing the spectacle. Outside the secret realm, demons and righteous forces were clashing, making it extremely dangerous for them to leave. Yet, if they stayed facing so many ghosts, they feared they wouldn't survive either. Kill. 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 Ghosts charged toward the crowd's location. Venerable Wuxia reacted swiftly, slapping his spiritual pet bag to summon a massive, menacing white tiger with twin wings sprouting from its back. Roar! The white tiger let out a thunderous roar at the ghosts, the sound like rolling thunder creating infinite arcs of lightning. Instantly, ghost after ghost disintegrated, turning into gray mist carried away by the wind. It seems this white tiger has improved significantly compared to before. Lu Changxing had previously witnessed the power of Venerable Wuxia and this third-rank white tiger. Now he noticed faint purple streams adorning the wings of the tiger. He realized the white tiger had made substantial progress after absorbing the thunderstorm crystal from the wind thunder hound. Immediately, Lu Changxing continued to keenly observe Nangong Meili and the previously suspicious cultivator. He had initially believed that most core formation cultivators from other countries had entered the Tianyuan secret realm seeking opportunities. But now, seeing Nangong Meili, this suspicious cultivator, and the appearance of nascent soul true lords outside, he doubted this was purely about chance. Lu Changxing suspected that a certain country or faction intended to invade Jiang country by weakening its strength and morale through such means. "They'll go check the situation out," Venerable Wuxia said in his deep voice, riding his white tiger and flying toward the collapsed monument to investigate. Kill. 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 Roar. As he moved, more and more ghosts emerged, attacking Venerable Wuxia. But these ghosts were at most at the Foundation establishment level, completely unfit to be opponents for Venerable Wuxia. Just then a sinister, cold laugh sounded from the void. A dark shadow suddenly appeared behind Venerable Wuxia, a jade-green ghostly claw reaching for his head. Sir the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Roar. Venerable Wuxia spun around abruptly, bellowing like a tiger king at the shadowy ghost. A platinum-colored chain appeared in his hand and swung fiercely at the ghostly figure. Boom. Before the ghost, a web of green flames seemed to ignite, blocking the assault of the chain, producing sounds like boiling water. A core formation ghost cultivator. Venerable Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others saw this and all grew grim. The appearance of one core formation ghost cultivator hinted at the possibility of a second, or even a third. If that happened, the Tianyuan secret realm might slip out of their control entirely. So this is a ghost cultivator? Lu Changxing gazed at the ghost battling Venerable Wuxia and narrowed his eyes. This was his first time witnessing what was called a ghost cultivator. From what he knew, ghost cultivators generally came in two forms. One form emerged when a cultivator died, and their soul was fortuitously preserved, giving birth to an undead spirit. The other form involved cultivators transforming themselves into ghost cultivators through cultivation techniques. But regardless of which form, ghost cultivators were almost entirely unlike their former selves, amounting to an entirely new existence. Things are looking rather dire now. Lu Changxing saw the endless gray energy engulfing the realm, saturating the space as though turning the entire secret realm into a ghostly abyss. Given how things stood, no one could tell how many core formation ghost cultivators might emerge from beneath the monument. There was even the possibility of a nascent soul ghost cultivator appearing, something that Lu Changxing wouldn't find surprising under such circumstances. At this moment, everyone present realized something terribly amiss, their faces tense and anxious, their eyes directed toward Venerable Lingfeng. "Everyone attack with me. Suppress these ghosts," Venerable Lingfeng shouted decisively. With so many ghosts emerging in the Tianyuan secret realm, they had to be stopped at all costs. If this situation spiraled out of control and spread to the outside, it would ruin everything. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1292, Starfall Chessboard. As soon as he spoke, the chessboard in Venerable Lingfeng's hand soared into the sky, spinning above the firmament like a celestial curtain, its surface littered with falling black and white pieces. Buzz buzz buzz, black and white pieces landed, forming a profound and mysterious formation, even stirring the forces of heaven and earth within the secret realm. Lu Changxing recognized that this Lingfeng was a formation cultivator, capable of deploying formations with ease using magical treasures. Beside him, Chu Qingyi, her appearance cold and exquisitely beautiful, held her magical sword, emanating a peerless sword intent, and charged toward the nascent soul ghost cultivator grappling with Venerable Hu Xiao. The ghost cultivator, already no match for Venerable Hu Xiao, fell into a disastrous retreat in the face of Chu Qingyi's assault, shrieking in agony. Meanwhile, the last nascent soul immortal of the Luoxia sect rallied disciples of the four great immortal sects into a battle formation, consolidating terrifying bursts of magical attacks that blasted at the ghosts. Any ghost attempting to surge forth from beneath the stone tablet was obliterated, reduced to ashes in the face of such magical power. So this is the might of the immortal sects? Nascent soul immortals, truly terrifying. Cultivators from other factions and clan cultivators looked upon the unfolding scene with stunned expressions. Though many of them were Foundation establishment cultivators, aside from Lu Changxing and a select few, most had never witnessed a true nascent soul battle. Only through this fight did they glimpse the power of nascent soul immortals, and starkly feel the insurmountable divide between Foundation establishment and nascent soul. No matter how peerless a genius one might be, it was difficult to bridge the chasm between great realms. It seems this battle formation has great potential. Lu Changxing observed the techniques of the four great immortal sect disciples, murmuring inwardly. He discerned that their battle formation lacked both finesse and synergy. It was cobbled together using some kind of secret technique and magic artifacts as mediums. Were his own offspring to cultivate the 5 Elements Union Sutra, and form a 5 Elements battle formation, its power would far outstrip this demonstration. As the ghosts were suppressed, the spine-chilling, piercing wails gradually diminished. Yet nascent soul ghost cultivators still emerged, charging toward Chu Qingyi and the others. However, these ghost cultivators posed no real threat to Chu Qingyi and the others. So terrifying. If not for the presence of the 4 nascent soul immortals, these ghost cultivators alone would destroy an entire nascent soul force. Someone spoke in a low voice, filled with lingering fear. No one had anticipated that what was meant to be an opportunity for fortune would turn into such a dire situation. Boom boom boom, boom boom boom. Alongside the resounding cacophony of battle, the entire secret realm began to quake violently. The sky dome became shrouded in a gray-black haze, as if enveloped by the aura of decay and ruin. This is bad, the secret realm is collapsing? At this moment, Lu Changxing noticed strands of ominous black cracks appearing across the sky, emanating a horrifying aura, and instantly realized that something was amiss. Under normal circumstances, even when a secret realm began breaking apart, the process would take a long period. At least several years, decades, or even centuries. Yet this secret realm was rapidly rotting and disintegrating. Not just Lu Changxing but Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others had noticed the change as well. Move. Everyone head to the exit immediately. Lingfeng's expression fluctuated between light and dark. Without hesitation he shouted decisively. A collapsing secret realm might transport them out. But it might also drag them into the great void. Citich novel, F.I.R. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. 4 ordinary cultivators, entering the great void was certain death. Even nascent soul immortals would face near certain doom against the shadowy chaos within the great void. Jia jia jia. Suddenly, a low eerie chuckle echoed out, causing all cultivators present to feel their hairs stand on end, their scalps tingling, and their chi blood surging uncontrollably. In an instant, the temperature in the surrounding air seemed to plummet, becoming bone-chillingly cold, as if they had plunged into an icy abyss. This isn't good. Be careful. Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others turned pale, their instincts screaming danger as alarm bells rang in their minds. Buzz, a blurry figure walked out of the shadows. He wore a white jade crown and a tattered, antiquated white Qilin flowing clouds robe. On his hands, face, and neck, any exposed parts of his skin, scarlet, grotesque hair could be seen sprouting in patches. What is this? Is this an Een corpse? Every cultivator present stared at the figure in horror, a palpable dread snaking through their hearts like they were teetering at the edge of an abyss, their backs pierced by icy needles, walking carefully across thin ice. This entity emanated an aura of unparalleled terror. Even Lu Changxing felt his spine tingle and hair bristle, realizing that this figure was completely beyond comprehension, invincible. Jia jia jia. The figure's hollow, lifeless eyes gazed toward Chu Qingyi and Venerable Hu Xiao, unleashing 2 sinister beams of blood-red light, accompanied by his hauntingly deep and ominous laughter. The sound was suffocatingly oppressive and eerie, unsettling hearts and stirring chi blood wildly, almost causing many to faint on the spot. But before the laughter ceased, the figure materialized behind Venerable Wuxia without warning. His red-haired hand thrust out viciously. What? Venerable Wuxia's eyes widened as he felt the strike imbued with space force, trapping his body as if ensnared in quicksand, leaving him unable to escape. He had no choice but to mobilize his mana to form a magic barrier for defense. Boom! The towering and imposing Venerable Wuxia's expression shifted drastically as his spiritual power magic barrier shattered under the attack. His entire body was sent hurtling backward, crashing into the ground, forming a pit several meters wide, with dust and sand erupting into the air. At that moment, Chu Qingyi raised her magical sword, and a burst of radiant spiritual light exploded, her sword intent sharp as frost, fiercely slashing at the figure's shoulder. Clang! A resounding clash like metal striking metal echoed. The impact of Chu Qingyi's awe-inspiring strike against the red-haired figure's body seemed to leave no mark. Only his ancient and dilapidated Qilin flowing clouds robe showed faint tears, exposing the densely red-haired flesh beneath. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1293. This? Chu Qingyi's cold and aloof expression suddenly changed. She was well aware of the power behind her sword strike. Even a third-order body refining cultivator wouldn't dare take it head-on with their physical body. Yet the opponent was completely unscathed. Quickly leave the secret realm. Lingfeng Immortal's face was incredibly grim as he shouted loudly, both hands forming a gesture incantation. Seen atop the Sky Dome's Starfall chessboard, countless black and white pieces fell, seemingly aiming to seal and intercept the red-haired figure. The other clan cultivators and disciples of the four great immortal sects dared not hesitate or dilly-dally at this moment. Understanding that such a level of combat was far beyond their strength, they could only flee in desperation. Lu Changxing saw this and without the slightest hesitation, joined the large crowd in their retreat. Interesting, truly interesting. At this moment, a young man suddenly chuckled lightly. I didn't expect this Tianyuan secret realm to produce such changes. It seems this situation must have caught the four great immortal sects of Jiang country off guard in their plans to take control, wouldn't you agree? In that case, I don't mind tossing another fire into the chaos. After speaking, the youth's momentum surged violently, his physique glowing with dark light, radiating a powerful and astonishing magical aura. Holding a small black arrow in his hand, he shot it abruptly towards Lingfeng Immortal, who was preparing a formation, creating a sharp and ear-piercing whistle. Nearby, the Luoxia sect Immortal responded promptly, throwing a small seal-like magical treasure to defend against the attack aimed at Lingfeng Immortal. Demon Cultivator. The surrounding cultivators were immediately horrified, their faces drastically changing. Many clan cultivators instantly activated talismans and magic artifacts, frantically fleeing toward other directions and the secret realm's entrance. The hunt begins. At that moment, a scrawny old man suddenly let out a sinister laugh, his momentum rising sky-high, transforming into a towering and fearsome burly man standing over 2 meters tall. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, nascent soul-level magical power erupted astonishingly as a layer of pitch-black radiance shimmered around his figure. Within the black light, there seemed to be a dreadful demon lying dormant, faintly visible, spreading and enveloping everything around. This was none other than the law domain of a nascent soul cultivator. Ah! The cultivators trapped within the law domain were immediately rendered powerless, letting out only a single blood-curdling scream. Faintly visible amidst the domain's darkness were grim demons ripping humans into two halves, with blood splattering everywhere. The other cultivators witnessing this sight became ashen-faced as they saw their fellow Foundation establishment cultivators, who had been traveling with them just moments earlier, falling victim to such a cruel death. But at that moment, not a single person dared to stay and confront the nascent soul demon cultivator. They hurriedly executed secret techniques, flying with all haste toward the secret realm's entrance. The gap between Foundation establishment and nascent soul cultivators was as wide as an uncrossable chasm. Although joining forces might offer an opportunity, no one wanted to be the first to step forward and take the initiative to lead the charge. Moreover, at this moment the focus was solely on escaping. They need not outrun a nascent soul immortal, just other cultivators. You demonic scoundrels, courting death. Lingfeng Immortal's expression was ghastly as he witnessed the scene. The plan of the four great immortal sects was to use the Tianyuan secret realm to trap enemies in the heaven and earth net, annihilating rival nation cultivators. They had even observed forces secretly intensifying the situation, trying to take advantage of the opportunity to lure bigger prey. Who would have thought the Tianyuan secret realm would suffer such unexpected changes, causing the situation to spiral out of their control? If the clan cultivators and sect disciples incurred severe losses, the entire Jiang country cultivation realm would face great injury, leaving them ill-equipped to handle future wars within the cultivation world. Boom! The red-haired figure broke free from the constraints of the formation, its massive, flaming hands smashing onto the chessboard formation, causing Lingfeng Immortal's blood and qi to surge. His face turned pale. Demonic path seeks death. Tiger divine transformation. Venerable Hu Xiao, who had just been struck into a deep pit by the red-haired figure, leaped upward once again. His face was pale, blood seeping from the corners of his mouth. Clearly he hadn't fared well from the earlier attack. But given the present situation, he knew he had to stabilize the battlefield. With a thunderous roar, his massive and towering body grew even larger, and a spectral white tiger coiled around him. Above the sky dome, the third-rank white tiger roared mightily, merging with him. Shit, looks like the four great immortal sects really messed up. It's true, often walking by the river, there's no way your shoes stay dry. Lu Changxing watched this unfold and immediately realized the four great immortal sects had overstepped. If it were merely two demon path nascent souls, the problem wouldn't be too severe. But that red-haired figure? Even the combined efforts of Lingfeng Immortal, Venerable Hu Xiao, Chu Qingyi, and the Luoxia sect's nascent soul might not be enough to counter it. And besides, there might be other demonic path nascent souls mixed in here. Lu Changxing strongly suspected that among the crowd of cultivators, aside from Nangong Meili, there were other demon path nascent souls hiding. These nascent souls, however, might genuinely be here for the secret realm, unconnected to the earlier pair. Swoosh! At this moment, a handsome young man suddenly attacked Lu Changxing. A torrent of magical power, like a spirit snake, coiled toward him. Huh? Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly as his purple flying shuttle shot into the air. He cast a talisman in his hand, neutralizing the magic power, and feigned ignorance, asking, "Taoist, may I know how I've offended you?" Umph. The young man merely snorted coldly, continuing his assault on Lu Changxing. His attack was initially a probe, but as his aura intensified, nascent soul-level magical power surged outward in an overwhelming wave. Shit, another nascent soul immortal. Damn it, why are there so many nascent souls? Run, hurry. Wait, isn't that Lu Changxing from Bihu Mountain? Did he offend this nascent soul immortal? The surrounding cultivators saw this and turned pale, scrambling to get away to avoid being dragged into the conflict. Among those retreating, a few cultivators from the Qingyun region who knew of Lu Changxing stared with disbelief and surprise. Someone like Jin Zan, seeing the situation, felt a rush of excitement and hope, silently wishing for Lu Changxing to be killed by the nascent soul immortal. Since you want to play, then I'll humor you. Sia the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing saw through the young man's disguise as Nangong Meili, laughing faintly in his heart. He retrieved and activated a third-rank escape talisman from his storage ring, transforming into a streak of light that shot away in another direction. Trying to flee. Nangong Meili snorted lightly and rushed after Lu Changxing, her figure also becoming a streak of light headed in his direction. Using the misty sky bead to keep her true identity concealed, she didn't unleash her full strength, opting to remain at the initial stage of core formation in cultivation and magical power. But even so, her power was more than sufficient to deal with Lu Changxing. However, she remained cautious despite her superiority. During her year in Jiang country, she had been keeping tabs on Lu Changxing's information, knowing full well he was far from ordinary. What? Is that a third-rank talisman? Someone witnessed Lu Changxing's action and cried out in surprise. Third-rank talismans were known to be rare and precious, and Lu Changxing's use of one in a dire situation seemed extremely lavish to those observing. Even though this Mountain Lord Lu is a third-rank talisman master, escaping the pursuit of a nascent soul immortal is no simple feat. A third-rank talisman master could hold their own against a false core immortal to some extent, but against a nascent soul immortal? It's definitely a dead end. This Mountain Lord Lu is quite something. To think had managed to provoke a nascent soul immortal. Not daring to linger further, the watching crowd frantically rushed toward the secret realm's exit. Moments later. Lu Changxing arrived at the edge of the secret realm, halting his movement. His green robe fluttered in the wind as he stood with his hands behind his back. Looking at Nangong Meili approaching, a faint smile played on his lips as he said, "Meili, we haven't met for years, but I've missed you greatly." Huh? Nangong Meili froze in her tracks, shocked that Lu Changxing had recognized her. The misty sky bead was renowned for its incredible disguise capabilities, even most nascent souls couldn't pierce through its effect. She said nothing, her vigilance rising as she cast a purple magical hand from afar, which surged with mist-like energy and came crashing toward Lu Changxing. At this moment, the 9 treasures Rui bone glimmered on Lu Changxing's chest, releasing core formation stage magical power. Within the depths of his Qi Ocean core, the golden core Dao foundation resting in the elixir lake slowly ascended, forming an invisible aura around his body that rendered the purple magical hand powerless. How is this possible? Nangong Meili's expression turned to one of disbelief, her heart churning with monumental shock as she struggled to comprehend the development. She vividly remembered Lu Changxing only being at the initial stage of foundation establishment back then, barely managing to advance to the mid-stage using her profound Yin Jade liquid. How many years had passed and somehow had broken through to the core formation stage? Meili, do you hate me so much? They say one day as husband and wife is worth 100 days of gratitude. We shared years as a married couple. Surely we can sit down and talk things over calmly. How have you been all these years since? After our separation, did you encounter any dangers during your return to Jin Kingdom? Lu Changxing, with his handsome features and gentle voice, spoke with an elegant and composed demeanor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1294. Nangong Meili faced Lu Changxing's warm and gentle gaze. Seeing his uncommonly handsome features, like a banished immortal descending to the mortal world, dressed in a flowing azure robe, elegant and poised, with a voice full of concern, her heart unexpectedly trembled, surfacing a trace of softness. Memories of that year surfaced in her mind, grievously injured and still unhealed, carrying her daughter Nangong Yaoyao, and traveling across the perilous Myriad Beasts mountain range with her disciple Meng Xiaochan to return to the Jin Kingdom. Even as a nascent soul immortal, the journey was fraught with endless dangers. However, it was thanks to Lu Changxing's misty sky bead. Without this misty sky bead, she and Meng Xiaochan might not have made it back safely. She recalled how, back then when she was about to leave Lu Changxing, to help her heal, voluntarily departed and even gifted her the misty sky bead, such an exotic treasure. Complicated emotions inexplicably surged within Nangong Meili's heart. Though he had humiliated and mistreated her in countless ways, he had shown her some kindness nonetheless. The next moment, Nangong Meili's heart suddenly halted, realizing something was amiss. What is going on? This scoundrel not only planted a goo on her and Xiaochan but also humiliated and mistreated her extensively. How could such matters be forgiven so easily? Moreover, if he truly cared about her, would he have waited until now? Xiaochan had been under the influence of the Lockhart goo for years. Had he ever shown a shred of concern for her? Scoundrel, prepare to die. Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes turned icy cold, and she shouted in a chilling voice. With her words, a purple jade flute appeared in her hand, poised at her lips. Since Lu Changxing had recognized her and with no one else around, she no longer concealed her strength. Unleashing her mid-nascent soul stage cultivation and magical power, she aimed to suppress Lu Changxing completely. Ooh! At that moment, as she struck with all her might, the disguise from the misty sky bead was automatically undone, revealing a woman in her 30s with extraordinarily alluring and enchanting beauty. Her skin was flawless and snow-white, dressed in a luxurious purple gauze gown. Her figure was seductively lithe, with graceful curves, long legs and a devilishly stunning physique, her beauty breathtaking to behold. As for her face, words like nation-toppling or exquisite fell short of encapsulating its splendor. It bore no flaws, as if sculpted with divine craftsmanship, mesmerizing beyond measure. Especially her enchanting and misty phoenix eyes, which exuded an intoxicating allure capable of captivating souls. Even Lu Changxing, despite his broad life experiences, felt a flash of astonishment in his eyes upon seeing Nangong Meili's visage. Aside from Yun Wanshang, Bai Ling and Binger, the other wives and concubines at his residence could hardly rival Nangong Meili in beauty. Yet, when it came to such extraordinary appearances, charm and demeanor held greater importance. Nangong Meili, with every gesture and smile, radiated a sultry allure, brimming with seduction and unmatched grace. In an instant, a colossal purple sky spider phantom, spanning several meters, emerged and lunged toward Lu Changxing. Buzz. Lu Changxing gently patted his chi ocean core, and the formless treasure wheel appeared abruptly, spinning in his mind, emanating a faint golden glow that made him seem extraordinary. As the formless treasure wheel clashed with the spider's phantom, standing evenly against it, the 9 treasures Rui bone in Lu Changxing's chest surged with power. Boom! Instantly, a stunning burst of radiant light erupted forth, as if celestial energy flowed, with the sun, moon and stars encircling him, elevating Lu Changxing's bearing to new heights, as though he were a true immortal walking amidst the mortal world. Meili, is your heart truly this ruthless? Do you hate me so much? If you kill me, how will you explain it when the child asks about her real father in the future? If she learns that her father was killed by her own mother, what will she think? Lu Changxing's voice was warm and unhurried, speaking gently. With the formless treasure wheel and protective divine light shielding him, Nangong Meili's attacks posed no threat to him. Frankly, while Nangong Meili was at the mid-nascent soul stage, her combat strength could only be considered average. What does it have to do with you? Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes flickered with icy anger as she heard Lu Changxing mention their daughter, her heart trembling slightly. She sneered inwardly, realizing that this scoundrel must have known about her pregnancy all along. Years ago, his sudden change in attitude toward her had to be because Head discovered she was carrying his child. Humph, before the child, you mistreated me relentlessly. Now that there's a child, you suddenly act tender and affectionate. Sar the novel F.I.R. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Nangong Meili felt a burst of irritation within her heart. Yet, at that moment, it was Lu Changxing's strength that shocked her even more. She hadn't expected him to not only break into core formation but also cultivate such divine skills that rendered him unaffected by her heavenly spider's soul-calling melody. Indeed, while her life-bound heavenly spider had perished, drastically reducing her skill's potency, Lu Changxing's composed demeanor was simply, "How can it have nothing to do with me? This is our child." Lu Changxing's figure was tall and graceful, his body emanating a divine glow, his expression earnest and affectionate as he continued, "How has Yao Yao been all these years?" Nangong Meili's heart trembled fiercely, a hint of panic flashing within her. She had always kept her daughter Yao Yao well protected, never letting her leave her side. Only after reaching Foundation establishment did Yao Yao insist on going to the marketplace, and Nangong Meili had reluctantly allowed it. How could Lu Changxing possibly know about Yao Yao's existence? How do you know about Yao Yao? Nangong Meili's demeanor became cold and enchanting, like a thorned poppy, her voice icy as she demanded. She had only intended to capture Lu Changxing and settle the grievances between them. But now, hearing him bring up her daughter Nangong Yao Yao, a deeper chill grew in her heart. "I have a divine skill. The day Yao Yao was born, I felt it in my heart and saw you name her." Lu Changxing's eyes were full of guilt as he said, "It's a beautiful name. Meili, thank you for all you've endured over the years." This guilt was not feigned. Back then, upon realizing that Nangong Meili was pregnant, he harbored strong ulterior motives, hoping she would give birth to his child. Yet all these years he had never truly cared about the mother or daughter. "She's my daughter, she has nothing to do with you." Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes flashed with icy cruelty as she retorted sharply. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1295. In her early years she was free from concerns. But ever since her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, was born she finally understood the meaning of attachment, the bond of bloodlines. Therefore she would never allow anyone to hurt her daughter. Originally she hesitated about whether to use the love goo on Lu Changxing. Now, seeing Lu Changxing trying to fight her for their daughter, her heart made a firm decision. She absolutely wouldn't let him influence or take away her daughter. "This is our daughter. Do you really want her to grow up without a father?" Lu Changxing's divine light flowed over his body, transcendent and ethereal, and he continued speaking. "Woo woo woo." Nangong Meili said nothing, her face icy, fully focused on playing the sky spider melody, causing the phantom of the purple sky spider to grow more solid and immense. She then slapped her spiritual pet bag, summoning a purple sky spider into existence. However, this spider was only at the middle stage of the second rank, with limited combat effectiveness. It still couldn't breach Lu Changxing's formless treasure wheel and protective divine light. Meili, this secret realm has already begun collapsing. If you continue to stall, it will be dangerous for you to leave later. Whatever you need to address, we can talk about it after we leave. Lu Changxing noticed that the subject of their daughter was a deep taboo for Nangong Meili, so he calmly attempted to soothe her. Such feelings seemed reasonable. The other party had voluntarily chosen to give birth to Nangong Yaoyao years ago, clearly showing how much she cared for this daughter. Now, decades later, her child's father showing up, it was natural for her to react strongly. Nonetheless, Nangong Meili remained silent, continuing to attack Lu Changxing, sending out spirit snakes and goo insects one after the other. But Lu Changxing could only shake his head. Inwardly he thought Nangong Meili, this devil path true person, truly had mediocre combat strength. Even with her mid-stage core formation cultivation level, the spiritual beasts and goo insects at her disposal were only at the second rank. Whoosh! At that moment, Nangong Meili suddenly summoned an item resembling a purple jade butterfly hairpin. The hairpin appeared like a dreamlike butterfly spreading its wings, beautiful and enchanting, then collided with Lu Changxing's protective divine light, causing slight damage. Sizzle! A red goo insect flew toward Lu Changxing, radiating a crimson glow and breaking through his protective divine light. Huh? Lu Changxing's heart subtly trembled, and the peach blossom goo in his brow's sea of consciousness suddenly roared excitedly. It seemed to signal to Lu Changxing that if this goo insect came closer, it could suppress it entirely. This is a love goo. Back in the day, Lu Changxing had prepared for the possibility of Nangong Meili trying to use tricks of this nature. Hence he had spent some time studying them. But now, with his current strength, having awakened the Tai divine soul and wielding the formless treasure wheel, this goo insect would find it incredibly difficult to get close to him. Whoosh! Lu Changxing's palms surged with yin-yang energies as he suddenly grasped forward, suppressing the goo insect and holding it in his hand. Then, with deep, serene eyes and a tranquil expression, he regarded Nangong Meili's exquisite and alluring face, speaking, "Meili, it's time to stop this nonsense. Given the circumstances, I don't have the luxury of indulging you further." Lu Changxing held the love goo, his voice cold and indifferent. He felt a sense of guilt toward Nangong Meili and her daughter, willing to tolerate her unruly behavior and allow her some emotional release. But his tolerance had its limits. He couldn't perpetually indulge her folly. Folly? Upon realizing her strength couldn't suppress Lu Changxing, Nangong Meili was already somewhat irritated. Now, hearing these condescending and callous words from Lu Changxing, a mix of anger and humiliation surged in her heart. She had fought him with all her might, yet in his eyes, it amounted to nothing more than folly. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, as she observed Lu Changxing's imposing and commanding demeanor, an indescribable feeling stirred deep within her. Such love goo, don't use it again in the future. You might end up hurting yourself. Lu Changxing said coldly, tossing the love goo back to Nangong Meili. Now that the peach blossom goo had advanced to the third rank, it no longer required the love goo to bite him. It could directly overpower and take control instead. Yet Nangong Meili was already the mother of his child, so he disdained using such tactics just to make her submit to him. After all, the true essence and charm of Nangong Meili lay in her untamed spirit. If she were forced to submit through the effect of a love goo, would that still be the real Nangong Meili? Nangong Meili caught the love goo, her coldly captivating yet seductive features displaying anger, frustration, and a trace of complex emotions. Moments ago, the love goo had conveyed a message, revealing that within Lu Changxing's body lay an immensely powerful goo insect's aura. If it bit him, it could trigger the insect's backlash. As a core formation cultivator from the Five Poisons cult, she naturally understood what this meant. Realizing her disciple Meng Xiaochan might have encountered such backlash years ago, thus falling victim to the Lockhart goo. Yet Lu Changxing clearly wielded the means to suppress her, and still, he chose to let her go. Nangong Meili gazed at the flawlessly graceful, transcendent Lu Changxing before her. She thought of how, in earlier years, he had been merely a foundation establishment cultivator, someone she once dismissed without a second thought. And now, within just a few decades, he had risen to such incredible heights, filling her with frustration and unyielding bitterness. Enough. Let's head back. Whatever needs to be addressed, we'll do so after we leave. Search *The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing glanced at the cracks spreading across the sky dome, softly addressing Nangong Meili, his tone slightly gentler. Nangong Meili's face flickered with indecision before she abruptly turned into a divine rainbow and shot out. She knew full well she was not a match for Lu Changxing and couldn't suppress him. But to submit to Lu Changxing right now, she absolutely refused. Huh? Lu Changxing's brows furrowed slightly, his eyes revealing traces of cold irritation. This woman truly refused to listen to reason. If that's the case, Yin Yang Qi grasped. The formless treasure wheel behind Lu Changxing's head shone brilliantly, spinning furiously. His 9 treasures Rui bone surged with power, causing his cultivation base aura to soar, and his mana roared as forceful as a raging river. In an instant, an exquisitely profound energy of Yin Yang Qi erupted like a dragon unleashed, sweeping toward Nangong Meili. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1296. Not good. Nangong Meili turned her head to look back, her heart jolting in shock. She hadn't expected Lu Changxing to have such divine skills. One must know, cultivating a single divine skill often takes years, sometimes even decades. No matter how extraordinary Lu Changxing's talent might be, it shouldn't be possible for him to possess 2 divine skills of this caliber, right? Buzz. The Yin Yang Qi condensed into a clearly defined Yin Yang hand, its 5 fingers slightly curled, directly grasping Nangong Meili. Nangong Meili immediately felt a force as massive as mountains that locked her in place. The vigorous mana restricted her movements, even slowing her own, making it nearly impossible to break free. How is this possible? Her expression turned aghast, her heart surging with waves of shock and alarm. Lu Changxing's rapid breakthrough from foundation establishment mid-stage to core formation in mere decades had already astonished her beyond measure. Moments ago, her inability to suppress Lu Changxing could still be attributed to his meticulous cultivation in defensive divine skills, bolstered by supreme defense treasures. But now, this divine skill, with such vast and overwhelming mana, had surpassed even her mid-nascent soul-stage cultivation. Even though she wasn't skilled in direct combat techniques, being effortlessly subdued and captured was downright implausible. What on earth is happening with him? Nangong Meili's heart reeled in terror. Lu Changxing's current state had thoroughly shattered her understanding. Not only had he broken through core formation so quickly, but he also wielded such immense mana and astonishing divine skills. Even possessing a supreme Taoist body shouldn't explain such extraordinary feats. Whoosh! The yin-yang handprint swiftly returned to hover before Lu Changxing. Meili, as your husband, I was simply trying to have a proper conversation with you. Why won't you listen? Lu Changxing looked at Nangong Meili, whose breathtaking beauty was tinged with bewildered suspicion, his expression calm and indifferent. As he spoke, he gently raised his hand, lifting her delicate, jade-like chin. His fingers felt the smooth, supple texture beneath them. Nangong Meili's dazzling, enchanting face froze slightly. Amidst her shock and dazed emotions, she found Lu Changxing's touch warm and pleasant, making her body feel slightly weak and giving rise to a subtle sense of closeness in her heart. She forcefully suppressed this sentiment, her expression vexed and her phoenix-like eyes icy cold as she angrily scolded in a low voice, "Who said you are my husband? Stop calling me that." Sir, the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Though reduced to Lu Changxing's captive for some reason, she didn't feel fear in her heart nor any strong urge to escape. Otherwise, she still had 3 life-saving goo insects in her possession, giving her a fair chance of breaking free and fleeing. Ha! Lu Changxing found Nangong Meili's defiant and furious demeanor somewhat amusing. His thumbs slid from her exquisite chin to her soft and alluring rosy lips, gently grazing them. Their supple and smooth texture stirred a desire to taste them. Following through on this impulse, he leaned closer, lowering his head to claim those radiant and luscious petals as his own. A moment later, Nangong Meili's cheeks turned crimson, her expression as cold as ice. Through gritted teeth she spat out, "Lu Changxing, you bastard. You're only realizing that now?" Lu Changxing replied coolly, noting that the resistance in her voice didn't seem as strong as before. If it were earlier, facing the yin-yang capture hand, she wouldn't have entirely abandoned her struggle. It appeared this woman was more responsive to hard tactics rather than soft words. Upon reflection it made sense. Born into the demon path, Nangong Meili naturally lived by the principle of the weak submitting to the strong. Under these circumstances, conquering her wouldn't be achieved through solely gentleness. It required strength and decisive measures. Since you refuse to obediently listen to your husband, then you can remain here quietly for now. Under Nangong Meili's frosty gaze, Lu Changxing reached out and pinched her enchanting yet icy cold face. Given the precarious situation in the secret realm, with potential battles between the righteous and the demonic forces, overseen by nascent soul true lords, Nangong Meili had become a significant liability. Rather than letting her roam freely, he decided to confine her within the formless treasure wheel for greater security. With that said, sealing divine light. From Lu Changxing's chest, the 9 treasures Rui bone emitted a ray of 9-colored divine light, sealing Nangong Meili's cultivation and mana. A moment later, the formless treasure wheel behind his head whirled into motion, radiating dazzling brilliance as if ablaze. Its aura surged like a force capable of suppressing mountains and rivers, embodying a sense of weighty majesty over all domains. Swoosh, the formless domain swiftly encompassed Nangong Meili, pulling her inside. Considering that the formless domain was empty, Lu Changxing channeled his mana through the treasure wheel to conjure scenery teeming with birds and fragrant blossoms within. Once we exit, your husband will naturally release you. Lu Changxing spoke in a calm tone before retracting the formless treasure wheel. Then, the mana aura around him receded like the ebbing tide. Phew. A moment passed and Lu Changxing exhaled deeply, releasing a stream of turbid energy. Though the exchange with Nangong Meili appeared effortless, composed, and serene throughout, maintaining such a facade required substantial effort. His mana had undoubtedly depleted significantly. Fortunately, with the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus supporting him as a second Dantian, the drain barely posed an issue. Otherwise, in his regular mana condition, given the complexities of the Tianyuan secret realm, Lu Changxing wouldn't dare to act so rashly. Swoosh. Without delay, Lu Changxing applied an illusion form talisman on himself, proceeding cautiously toward the exit of the secret realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1297, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus Sun Moon Samsara Technique. The younger generation is truly formidable. Just as Lu Changxing was cautiously making his way toward the exit of the secret realm, a voice ancient and full of the vicissitudes of time echoed in his ears. Who? Lu Changxing's heart froze abruptly. He turned sharply, scanning all directions, unsure of where the voice originated. But he was certain someone had just transmitted their voice to him. Young man, do not be alarmed. I am Tianyuan True Monarch. Come to me, inheritance. The ancient voice continued to resonate, seemingly crossing countless temporal eras, intermittently reaching Lu Changxing's mind. What? Tianyuan True Monarch? Lu Changxing was stunned. Had previously heard Xiao Xie give a brief explanation of the Tianyuan secret realm. He knew this secret realm was tied to the legendary great cultivator Tianyuan True Monarch from 8,000 years ago. The very name Tianyuan secret realm was derived from Tianyuan True Monarch by the 4 great immortal sects. Now, this voice claimed to be Tianyuan True Monarch and proclaimed that he had a chance of obtaining an inheritance? Something's off. Lu Changxing remained highly alert, completely skeptical of these words. 8,000 years. Forget nascent soul true lords, even deity of transformation beings would have turned to dust by now. And now you say you're Tianyuan True Monarch? I might as well claim him Emperor Qin Shi Huang. An inheritance might be enticing, but given how bizarre this secret realm was, Lu Changxing dared not take risks for such things. Especially since the recent anomaly in the secret realm had unleashed countless vengeful spirits and ghost cultivators. Lu Changxing suspected this voice might be one of those ghost cultivators trying to lure him. He ignored the voice immediately and cautiously continued toward the exit. You possess the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, and practicing the Sun Moon Samsara technique ties us by fate. Your talent is rarer than anything I've ever seen. You can inherit my legacy. The ancient voice persisted, intermittent and fleeting, even giving off an incredibly frail impression. This voice seems to originate from the direction of the celestial monument. Lu Changxing noticed the voice had become slightly clearer, directing his gaze toward the celestial monument, furrowing his brows. If the voice indeed came from the celestial monument, that was an even greater reason not to go. For that place was extraordinarily sinister. Should he encounter another of those red-haired figures like earlier, he might barely escape using the life-substituting talisman. Boom boom boom. Just as Lu Changxing was nearing the secret realm's exit, he noticed 3 figures in the sky, Chu Qingyi, Venerable Hu Xiao, and True Person Ling Feng, continuing their joint efforts to intercept the red-haired figure. Their exertions were clear as all 3 were giving their all. Not only had Venerable Hu Xiao performed the unification technique to drastically enhance his combat power, but Chu Qingyi and true person Lingfeng had also deployed some kind of secret technique, their magic aura surging and shockingly powerful. Yet despite this, the trio remained no match for the red-haired figure. Under the relentless attacks of the red-haired figure, they were forced into retreat after retreat, only able to defend. Boom boom boom. The flowing cloud robe of the red-haired figure, patterned like a qilin, was in tatters, revealing its flesh covered with red hair, horrifying and eerie. It seemed the figure knew neither techniques nor magical powers, relying only on the raw strength of a physical body that had returned to its primal state. But every gesture and motion radiated a divine power as deep and impenetrable as an abyss, leaving true person Lingfeng, who relied on formation suppression, pale-faced. The red-haired figure suddenly shifted, appearing beside Venerable Hu Xiao in an instant, raising its hand and sweeping forth with Yin wind and ghost energy. Boom! The massive frame of Venerable Hu Xiao, akin to a small mountain, cracked noisily under the overpowering gale. Above him hovered a shadow of a giant white tiger, roaring and howling with astonishing ferocity. But moments later, the white tiger's shadow was mostly torn apart, and Venerable Huxiao's body flew like a cannonball before crashing to the ground, forming a giant crater. Hiss! Even Lu Changxing felt his eyelid twitch at the sight. If not for Venerable Huxiao's exceptionally resilient physical body and his use of such a beast-human unification secret technique, an ordinary core formation cultivator would not have survived that strike. Without intervening, Lu Changxing cautiously moved toward the secret realm's exit. At the exit, he noticed core formation cultivators from the Luoxia sect leading disciples of the four great immortal sects in defense, forming an intimidating formation. Sir, the novel Undersphere. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As for the two demonic path true persons spotted earlier, they were nowhere to be seen. Most likely the pair wouldn't dare confront the four great immortal sects head-on at this point. Yet, just as this thought crossed Lu Changxing's mind, he noticed a distant black arrow and a blood-red dagger suddenly strike toward true person Lingfeng. Clang! Chu Qingyi, with an exquisitely sculpted and commanding visage draped in a white sword robe, slashed forward fiercely. Waves of sword light surged out, intercepting both the black arrow and blood-red dagger. Her beautiful eyes filled with murderous intent as she glared toward the direction of the demonic path nascent soul cultivators, her voice icy. You demonic thieves are utterly disgraceful. Since you wish to send us to our deaths, then you must be prepared to pay the price. Chu Qingyi's voice was cold and tinged with fury. The group was already struggling against the red-haired figure, barely holding their position. And under such dire circumstances, the two demonic path cultivators not only slaughtered numerous cultivators from Jiang country but continually interfered with them, aiming to ensure their demise. Chu Qingyi's heart burned with a deep and intense killing intent. These two bastards truly aren't afraid of ruining their schemes. Lu Changxing frowned slightly as he witnessed the scene, sensing Chu Qingyi's profound anger and bloodlust through her words. It was understandable. The situation was truly suffocating for the four great immortal sects. If not for the presence of the red-haired figure, the two demonic path nascent soul cultivators would likely have been suppressed long ago. Huh? At that moment, Lu Changxing noticed Chu Qingyi's azure magical sword emitting blinding brilliance, while a golden light resembling a radiant sun soared skyward from her body, piercing the clouds. Boom boom boom, suddenly amidst the gray haze suffusing the sky dome, thunder surged. A ferocious, domineering energy visibly spread outward, enveloping this entire realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1298. Then one after another golden lightning pillars descended, sealing off everything in all directions. Even Lu Changxing felt a sense of danger in that instant. He realized it was some kind of life-risking divine ability, similar to his own yin-yang great mingling millstone. Haha, finally feeling desperate. Trying to kill us is pure wishful thinking. S.E.A. the Novelier. N.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The two hidden demonic path nascent souls were not panicked, mocking and laughing coldly. They were very cautious, each possessing some kind of hidden magical treasures or divine abilities, making it difficult for others to pinpoint their exact location. Majestic heavenly might, drawn forth by the sword. Chu Qingyi's robe fluttered, her expression indifferent, cold and haughty, her high ponytail waving like an icy crystal phoenix. She raised the azure magical sword in her hand high. Suddenly, the sky dome swirled with residual clouds, endless thunder was drawn into her magical sword, bursting with resplendent divine light, slashing in a certain direction. Not good. In an instant, a black shadow appeared, letting out a piercing scream. This sword not only cut the physical body but also the soul. The moment he made a move, Chu Qingyi locked onto his aura. Boom boom boom, endless thunderous sword light descended from the sky, forming a sea of thunder, raging and roaring as if divine punishment. This demonic path nascent soul went all out, black spiritual light surged, and he offered a black banner magical treasure, coiling around him, resisting the terrifying thunder punishment. "In Luo, save me!" He shouted loudly, calling for help from the other companion. But the other demonic path nascent soul saw that Chu Qingyi still had a sword prepared, not daring to show himself, concealing his aura. Ah! This demonic path nascent soul howled in agony, the magical treasure battered by thunderous sword light, his body charred and torn. Damn it! Chu Qingyi's face turned pale, billowing aura surged, failing to capture the other person's aura. But the sword in her hand had to be released at this moment, so she continued to slash towards the demonic path nascent soul, intending to sever him directly. At the same time, the nascent soul immortal from Wuxia sect also led the disciples of the four great immortal sects, forming a battle formation to take action, launching fearsome techniques. Boom boom boom. Sword light surged, wild winds swept, thunder roared, mana exploded chaotically, the power was terrifying. Fairy Qingyi, be careful. At this moment, the pale-faced Ling Feng immortal shouted at Chu Qingyi. A red-haired figure suddenly broke through a layer of array spirit divine light, instantly appearing behind Chu Qingyi, swinging a handful of terrifying red hair. At this time, Chu Qingyi, with almost depleted mana, couldn't respond in time. Puff. Chu Qingyi's tall and graceful body emitted a sound of bones cracking, then she spat out blood, her whole body flying backward like a broken kite. Kill. At this time, the previously hidden demonic path nascent soul saw the situation, suddenly launched his blood-colored flying dagger towards Chu Qingyi. He could tell that Chu Qingyi was now half-crippled, utterly defenseless. Damn it! Lu Changxing, seeing this scene, clenched an illusion-form talisman, fully activated the fate-defying robe, and dashed out, gritting his teeth. Originally, he was unwilling to intervene in situations like this. But now the situation was urgent. After all, Chu Qingyi was Xiao Xiye's senior sister, Yun Wanshang's disciple. If Yun Wanshang and Xiao Xiye knew in the future that Chu Qingyi died in front of him, and he obviously had the power to save but didn't, he feared it would be a knot in his heart, even he couldn't face the two women. Boom! The formless treasure wheel appeared, spinning behind Lu Changxing, making his entire body seem shrouded in a layer of chaos chi, face indistinguishable. Whoosh! Lu Changxing used a forceful and domineering mana to catch Chu Qingyi, and from his sleeve shot out a white gold magical sword, clashing and colliding with the blood-colored flying dagger, shattering everything. What? Another nascent soul immortal? Ling Feng immortal, venerable Hu Xiao, and the recently ready to assist Luoxia sect immortal in the field were all stunned. They didn't expect there would be another nascent soul immortal in the secret realm. However, this nascent soul immortal seemed not to be a demonic path cultivator, but a righteous sword cultivator. Fairy Qingyi? Seeing Chu Qingyi's situation before him, Lu Changxing's heart sank. Her palace dress white skirt was tattered and torn, her exquisitely beautiful face pale as paper, devoid of blood. This wasn't the critical issue. The crucial point was that Chu Qingyi's entire meridians and bones were nearly shattered, and there was a bizarre aura eroding her life force. Although Chu Qingyi was in a severely injured, critical state, her Buddhist rejection of males made her instinctively want to struggle, but she couldn't move. However, she felt a familiar mana aura from Lu Changxing, her beautiful eyes slightly opened, weakly saying, "Who are you, Wiz?" At this moment, the blood-colored flying dagger came killing towards Lu Changxing again. Courting death. Lu Changxing's eyes turned cold, a series of flying swords appeared in his hand. These flying swords were similar in form to the previous white-gold flying sword, only differing in color, with a star-like sheen flowing on them, sharp and brilliant. 7 Luminary Sword Formation. Lu Changxing formed a gesture incantation with one hand, the 7 flying swords bursting with resplendent sword light in gold, black, white, green, red, yellow, and blue swirling around him. The technique he used now was not the Yin Yang creation scripture, but the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. As for these 7 flying swords, they were not the 7 luminary star sword, but rather 9 small treasure arrows he obtained from White Peak Immortal in the past. Through the formless treasure wheel, these 9 small arrows were made to appear in flying sword form, used for temporary battle. Clang! The blood-colored flying dagger collided with the sword array divine light, causing a violent sound, mana ripples, but unable to advance an inch. Just as Lu Changxing prepared to counterattack against this demonic path cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1299. The red-haired figure suddenly laid eyes on Lu Changxing. Its hollow, soulless gaze shot out twin beams of blood-red light, accompanied by a low, eerie laugh. Even with his Tai divine soul and third-rank middle-stage body refinement, Lu Changxing felt a chill run down his spine, his chi blood boiling and surging uncontrollably. Cough, 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 clutched in Lu Changxing's arms, Chu Qingyi shuddered at the sound of the ghastly laughter. Her internal organs trembled, and she coughed up blood violently, teetering on the edge of unconsciousness. Taoist, beware. Although Spirit Peak True Person didn't recognize Lu Changxing, the current dire situation made it clear that Lu Changxing wasn't an evildoer. Hoping to join forces, she called out to ward off the red-haired figure. Boom! The red-haired figure arrived before Lu Changxing in an instant. He felt as though the heavens and earth were sealed, trapping him in a suffocating quagmire, rendering him immobile. Could this really be a nascent soul ghost cultivator? Shock coursed through Lu Changxing's heart. To his knowledge, only a nascent soul true lord possessed the ability to suppress the void and lock down the heavens with a mere wave of the hand. 7 luminary star sword formation. Without a moment to think further, he unleashed multiple spells in succession. This 7 luminary star sword began vibrating furiously, instantly splitting into 64 identical magical swords. Sword light burst forth, weaving and spinning madly, as if summoning the 7 luminary stars from the cosmos. Boom! But before Lu Changxing's sword formation could fully take shape, the massive red-haired hand swatted it away like a fragile glass sculpture. The sword light shattered instantly, and the hand reached straight for him. With Chu Qingyi secured in one arm, Lu Changxing clenched his fist with the other. Divine radiance flowed across his knuckles as he struck back with full force. Bang! That one punch felt like hitting an ancient divine mountain forged from immortal gold. It didn't budge an inch, leaving Lu Changxing's fist and arm numb with pain. His whole body was flung sideways through the air. What is this monstrosity? Terror clawed at Lu Changxing's heart as he realized that unless he activated every trump card he had, there was no way he could match this red-haired figure. Come here. Come to me or else. We'll kill you both. I can't hold on much longer. At that moment, the weathered voice Lu Changxing had heard earlier echoed once again in his mind. The red-haired figure had previously attacked whoever was nearest, like when Venerable Wuxia was swatted away, and the figure then turned to target Chu Qingyi. When Chu Qingyi was out of reach, it attacked Spirit Peak True Person instead. But now it seemed oddly fixated on Lu Changxing. Seeing him sent flying, it pursued relentlessly. From the distance, Spirit Peak True Person, Venerable Wuxia, and the Luoxia sect cultivators watched the scene, surprise flashing across their faces. However, there was no time to dwell on questions. They promptly launched attacks to suppress the red-haired figure and ease Lu Changxing's plight. Boom, boom, boom. Countless mana attacks struck the red-haired figure, but they only managed to slow its steps momentarily, ultimately failing to inflict any real damage. Damn it! Lu Changxing cursed under his breath at the sight. Glancing down at Chu Qingyi in his arms, her weak aura and faint breath announcing an impending demise, his expression darkened and shifted unpredictably. Sir the Fire. Website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He didn't have too much to worry about himself, escaping was still within reach. But with Chu Qingyi in her current state, she wouldn't last much longer. Come to me and I can help you save her, the weathered voice rang out in his mind once more. This time, it carried an urgency, a panicked desperation absent before. Weighing the voice's words, Lu Changxing cast a glance at the red-haired figure ahead. A storm of thoughts churned within him. Mindful of his life substitute talisman and other contingency measures, he gritted his teeth and made a split-second decision. Clutching Chu Qingyi tightly, he bolted at full speed toward the direction of the heavenly monument. Taoist? Spirit Peak True Person and the others froze, stunned by Lu Changsheng's sudden retreat with Chu Qingyi toward the depths of the secret realm. Their expressions bore a mix of bewilderment and apprehension. Roar! The red-haired figure bellowed as Lu Changxing dashed past, surging forward with a killing intent that made the surrounding space feel as though it was collapsing. Boom! The 9 treasures Rui bone on Lu Changsheng's chest flared with radiant brilliance, unleashing a massive, surging force that partially broke the oppressive binding. Transforming into a streak of sword light, Lu Changxing vanished instantly from the scene. Before long, Lu Changxing arrived at the site where the heavenly monument had previously collapsed. Beneath him loomed a deep pit, with interwoven array patterns emanating soft, mystic auras. A translucent, azure blue lotus, entwined in profound energies, shimmered faintly into view. That's Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus? Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly at the sight of the familiar yet enigmatic lotus. He immediately recognized it as the 4th-ranked Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. To think that beneath the heavenly monument, such a treasure existed. Senior? Rather than seizing the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus, Lu Changxing called out aloud. He had already sensed that the one who sent him the telepathic messages was right here. Buzz. The azure blue Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus swayed gently, its patterns flowing as radiant light surged around it. Rays of divine brilliance intertwined, embodying an ethereal presence of Tao and reason. Ripples of spatial energy collected and swirled to form a small vortex, as though connecting to another world. Lu Changsheng's sharp eyes glimmered with golden light, attempting to peer beyond the vortex into what lay beyond. So, when the Tianyuan Supreme Lotus grows into the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus, it evolves from a void treasure into a cave heaven treasure? Lu Changsheng's gaze deepened, catching glimpses of what appeared to be a cave heaven spanning several square miles beyond the vortex. Without hesitation he released a puppet to venture into the vortex first. After confirming the absence of immediate danger, Lu Changxing with Chu Qingyi in tow, leaped into the vortex within the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1300. As soon as Lu Changxing entered the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, an intense wave of spiritual energy surged toward him, almost thick enough to liquefy, refreshing his mind and spirit. However, apart from the abundant spiritual energy, this cave heaven realm didn't appear exceptionally unique, gray and hazy skies reminiscent of the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. A grand temple stood erect ahead. Constructed entirely of golden iron and white jade, it emanated a crystalline brilliance, ancient yet imposing. But the pervasive silence inspired a profound sense of desolation. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Changxing casually surveyed the surroundings of the cave heaven. His expression remained serene as he coolly said, "Senior, since you summoned me, why not show yourself?" As his words echoed, the dense spiritual energy mist before him began to stir, and a faint, nearly imperceptible figure gradually materialized. Huh? Lu Changsheng's gaze sharpened upon seeing the figure, his heart skipping a beat, his vigilance heightened. The figure's appearance bore a striking resemblance to the red-haired figure seen outside, a jade crown atop its head, adorned in a flowing white robe embroidered with Qilin motifs. Yet, unlike the menacing red hair, this person exuded a gentle aura, with refined features like those of a scholar swordsman lamenting the hardships of life. Remarkable youth, truly awe-inspiring. "I never thought I'd encounter someone like you in my lifetime," the remnant soul spoke, its melancholy eyes fixed on Lu Changxing, a deep sense of nostalgia resonating in its tone. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could not fully discern Lu Changxing. Nonetheless, through the subtle resonance of the Tianyuan Treasure Lotus, it had observed parts of Lu Changxing's essence during his battle with Nangong Meili. "I wonder why Senior summoned me here?" Without lowering his guard, Lu Changxing addressed the remnant soul in a measured tone. Despite mentions of inheritance and opportunities, he did not believe in such fortuitous gifts falling from the heavens. He was certain the soul had an ulterior motive for calling him. "Rest assured, I bear no malice. Furthermore, after countless years, my primordial spirit's origin source has already withered and depleted. What remains now is but a fragment of my persistence tethered to the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. I possess no capability for body snatching." The remnant soul, noticing Lu Changxing's strong wary stance, calmly explained. "Senior overstates," Lu Changxing replied dryly. Though the soul's words might be genuine, Lu Changxing did not lower his guard. Compared to the dread-inducing Hong Lian of years past, this soul was far more ethereal, but the pressure it exerted was not weaker. In fact, it surpassed Hong Lian. Facing such an existence, caution was indispensable. Seeing that Lu Changxing remained wary, the remnant soul appeared unperturbed, continuing, "You were summoned here, firstly because of fate. My primordial spirit's essence is exhausted, and the ability to communicate with you depends on the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus within your body. Additionally, you've cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, proving that fate connects us. Thus, I hope you will inherit my teachings." See the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The remnant soul elaborated. "Senior, I already possess a profound inheritance, making it impossible for me to take on another," Lu Changxing responded. "However, I can seek suitable successors on your behalf to ensure your legacy does not fall into obscurity." Glancing at the pale, lifeless face of Chu Qingyi in his embrace, whose breathing was chaotic and faint, Lu Changxing added solemnly. As he spoke, his Qi Ocean Core and Great Tao Golden Core radiated dazzling hues, sending forth an astonishing surge of yin-yang magic power. Boom, boom, boom. This magical aura enveloped Lu Changxing, forming a yin-yang Taoist chart that seemed to depict the harmony of heavens and earth, accompanied by faint echoes of the Great Tao. The remnant soul, gazing at the yin-yang Taoist chart above Lu Changxing's head, revealed a rare expression of shock amid its tranquil demeanor. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could sense the profound and boundless mysteries of the Great Tao flowing through this Taoist chart. Remarkable youth, truly awe-inspiring. To think you possess such a cultivation inheritance, I have overstepped my boundaries. The remnant soul's face softened into a contemplative expression. Though its own cultivation legacy was extraordinary, it recognized that someone like Lu Changxing would disdain its teachings. "If that is the case, then as you've suggested, kindly assist me in finding a successor," the remnant soul finally said. Its hand lightly raised and a pristine jade slip appeared out of thin air, floating before Lu Changxing. "This contains all of my cultivation techniques and teachings. If it interests you, you are welcome to study and cultivate them as well." To the remnant soul, Lu Changxing, having cultivated the yin-yang creation scripture, a top-tier cultivation technique, would not covet its legacy. Furthermore, its teachings were intricate and abstruse, beyond the comprehension of average cultivators, so it didn't mind if Lu Changxing learned them. "No need to worry, senior," Lu Changxing reassured, golden light shimmering in his eyes as he cautiously accepted the jade slip. He hadn't expected the soul to hand over its inheritance so straightforwardly. Carefully he inspected the jade slip. Tianyuan scripture, Tianyuan sword art, Nirvana golden body. The slip detailed numerous techniques, with the Tianyuan scripture evidently being the compilation of his core teachings. Beyond foundational practices, there were many spells, secret arts, and cultivation insights. While the Tianyuan sword art shared part of its name with the Tianyuan scripture, it was not a paired technique, clearly an independent creation of the Tianyuan true monarch. Before Lu Changxing could delve deeper, the remnant soul gazed at him and resumed speaking. "Calling you here, the second reason is to make a request." Its typically calm voice now carried slight tremors, steeped in profound melancholy and time-worn anguish. "A request?" Lu Changxing frowned upon hearing this. If an existence of such caliber uttered the word request, it inevitably indicated a matter of significance. Yet, glancing again at the woeful Chu Qingyi cradled in his arms, Lu Changxing composed himself and seriously answered, "Please speak, senior. If it's within my power, I will attempt my utmost to fulfill it, but I cannot promise success. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1301, Having Your Answer is Enough. After all, I was merely holding on to a sliver of hope regarding this matter. The remnant soul's gaze was sorrowful as it sighed, saying, "I hope that within your lifetime, you can find a sword." Find a sword. See the oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing furrowed his brows slightly, feeling that this request was somewhat puzzling. The remnant soul did not explain, instead asking, "Do you know about the innate sword spiritual body?" "I've never heard of it." Lu Changxing shook his head. The myriad spiritual constitutions found in the cultivation world were too numerous to count, so much so that even a nascent soul true lord wouldn't dare claim to know them all. The innate sword spiritual body is an extraordinarily rare constitution. It not only allows one to refine their physical body and soul into swords but also enables the refinement of all things under heaven into swords. Once this spiritual body achieves great success, it can even transform into an innate sword spirit. As the remnant soul reached this point, its voice grew heavier. My daughter possessed the innate sword spiritual body. Years ago, when I attempted to break through to the divinity transformation realm, I was struck by the triadic tribulation of heaven, earth, and man. Not only did I fail to break through, ending in my demise and the collapse of my Tao, but I also brought disaster upon my wife and daughter. Among the calamities, there were those who came for my daughter's innate sword spiritual body, aiming to turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. The remnant soul's voice carried profound sorrow, shadowed by a potent killing intent. In his era, he had dominated the southern wilderness and was lauded as someone with the potential for divinity transformation. Everyone believed he had a great chance to succeed in breaking through. But when attempting the breakthrough, not only did he perish and lose his Tao, but his actions also brought disaster upon his wife and daughter. His wife was slain in battle, and his daughter even faced the horrifying possibility of being transformed into a sword. Turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat. While spiritual constitutions brought immense benefits to cultivation, they also easily attracted trouble. Just as his own daughter Lu Wangshu possessed the blood talisman spiritual body. In her early years, when she ventured beyond, she was spotted by a demon cultivator who sought to sacrifice her into a talisman. So as a father, he could fully understand the other party's fury. Lu Changxing pondered for a moment and said, "Senior, I am only in the golden core stage now, far from qualified to even touch upon that level. In the future," before he could finish his words, the remnant soul cut him off. "I understand. This request was merely my lingering hope, an obsession. I simply hope that in the future, if you have the ability, you might attempt to seek it. If you find this sword, rescue my daughter. If not, you need not hold yourself to this." The remnant soul sighed faintly. He knew it had been thousands of years since his demise, that the outside world had long become unrecognizable. Looking for a sword was as improbable as a fantasy. What's more, it was uncertain if his daughter hadn't already been forged into a heavenly spirit treasure. Very well. If such a day ever comes, I, Lu Changxing, pledge to find the sword you spoke of, Senior, and rescue your daughter. Lu Changxing solemnly pledged. After finishing, he asked, "Does this sword have a name? If the sword still exists in this world, its name might be Tianyu." Seeing Lu Changxing's sincere words and proactive inquiry, the remnant soul appeared somewhat gratified as it spoke. "I, Xian Tianyuan, have never owed anyone nor allowed promises made to me to be futile. Young friend, do you wish to save this woman?" The Tianyuan true monarch looked at Chu Qingyi and spoke directly. He did not demand that Lu Changxing swear a Dao heart oath or anything similar. From his perspective, Lu Changxing, with his extraordinary talent and unparalleled inheritance, was someone of immense pride and integrity. Having agreed, it was impossible for him to renege. Moreover, for someone destined to become a top-tier cultivator, potentially ascending to nascent soul transcendent in the future, insincere promises would leave cracks in his mental state. "That's correct. May I ask what method Senior proposes?" Lu Changxing asked immediately. "This woman has shattered meridians and broken bones. Her true elixir is damaged, and saving her is no easy task. However, since you cultivate the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, I possess a secret method that will allow you to use the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to extend her life." The Tianyuan true monarch glanced at Chu Qingyi, who was in Lu Changxing's arms, and spoke as such. "The Sun-Moon Samsara technique?" Hearing this, Lu Changxing froze. "Damn it, is that your so-called solution? If it's through that method, why would I, Lu, someone even bother asking for help? With the Yin-Yang Nirvana technique, life transference technique, and the healing divine light of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, as long as there's a sliver of breath left, I could save her myself." But upon hearing the Tianyuan true monarch mention that Chu Qingyi's true elixir was damaged, Lu Changxing's heart tightened. He quickly examined Chu Qingyi's condition with his divine sense. Immediately, he saw her Qi ocean core within the fractured Tao foundation. On top of it, a true elixir emanating faint traces of golden core charm was dim and lifeless, with several cracks running through it, causing her origin source to dissipate. Earlier, due to the urgency of the situation, he hadn't noticed that Chu Qingyi's condition was so critical. Wouldn't this mean that even if Chu Qingyi were revived, she'd still face the issue of her damaged Tao foundation, making future progress impossible? No. At this moment, Chu Qingyi, lying in Lu Changsheng's arms, suddenly grew agitated. Despite her barely audible breath, she struggled to speak. Absolutely not. I'd rather die. Cough, cough, cough. Yet before she could finish her sentence, she coughed up blood violently. She had nearly been unconscious before. But having arrived at the Tianyuan lotus, enveloped by the dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth and nourished by Lu Changsheng's mana, she gradually regained a sliver of consciousness. And as soon as she awoke, she overheard the mention of using the Sun-Moon Samsara technique for healing. She was naturally aware of this cultivation technique. She and her master, Yun Wansheng, had discovered this technique together in the past, knowing full well it was a dual cultivation technique. The thought of letting a stranger use such a method to save her was utterly unacceptable. Yet in her heart she wondered who exactly was Lu Changsheng. Why was he so determined to save her? From the moment Lu Changsheng first saved her, the mana he had displayed felt vaguely familiar to her. It was definitely not the same mana currently nourishing her body. Senior, is this truly the only way? Is there no method to restore her foundation? Ignoring Chu Qingji's refusal, Lu Changsheng patted her soft back lightly and turned to the Tianyuan True Monarch to ask. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1302. If there were only this method, he wouldn't need to ask the other party for help, he could save her himself. Though the process might be somewhat improper and taint someone's innocence. But after all, she was Xiao Xiye's senior sister and Yun Wansheng's disciple. Could he truly stand by and do nothing? Why was he suddenly thinking about these two connections? Why did that make it even more exciting? Sir, the novel, NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No, this was simply the compassion of a healer. Seeing a patient in such critical condition, his emotions were naturally stirred. He's quite the gentleman. Chu Qingyi, lying weakly in Lu Changsheng's arms, heard these words. Her eyes quivered and her long, thick eyelashes, like small fans, fluttered gently. At this moment she was so weak that she couldn't even move a single finger. If Lu Changsheng really wanted to save her through this method, she wouldn't have any means to resist. If young friend wishes to restore her foundation, this old man does have a method, but it is exceedingly dangerous. Tianyuan True Monarch said after a slight deliberation. Senior, please do share. Lu Changsheng thought to himself, as expected of a nascent soul true lord. His knowledge and methods were indeed extraordinary. Young friend has condensed a first-grade golden core, hasn't he? Tianyuan True Monarch's gaze scrutinized Lu Changsheng as he asked. Indeed. Lu Changsheng nodded in affirmation, not bothering to explain about the great Tao golden core. A first-grade golden core? Hearing this exchange, Chu Qingyi, whose consciousness was already blurred, was shocked. Core formation was divided into 9 grades. More than 90% of cultivators could only dream of forming a high-quality golden core. But a first-grade golden core, it was the pinnacle achievement of core formation. Even in the Jiang country cultivation realm, and even in the entire southern wilderness cultivation realm, such cases were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. And yet, the Lu Changsheng before her had actually condensed a first-grade golden core. In this moment, Chu Qingyi grew even more curious about who Lu Changsheng truly was. Why did he care so much about saving her? How did he also master the Sun-Moon Samsara technique? Since young friend possesses a first-grade golden core, then this method becomes somewhat more feasible. Tianyuan True Monarch nodded slightly and said, Now this old man has little time left. Beyond the inheritance of my cultivation technique, I have one final gift for you, young friend, this Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. This lotus previously housed my second nascent soul. When I attempted to break through to divinity transformation, it was baptized by the origin source of divinity transformation, and it was just one step away from advancing to the heavenly Yuan Dao lotus. This is precisely why this remnant soul of mine has lasted until today. Now that the nascent soul has dissipated, a trace of the nascent soul's origin source remains. I can transfer it to young friend as a means of empowerment and refinement. In the process, you can use the elixir conversion secret technique to dissolve this woman's true elixir and use it to repair her Bodhis meridians. Then, through the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, you can help her form a core anew. If successful, not only will her meridian injuries fully recover, but her cultivation could also achieve a breakthrough, and she could condense a golden core. Tianyuan True Monarch's voice was calm and unhurried as he explained. The elixir conversion secret technique? Lu Changsheng of course understood such a technique. Some false core immortals or cultivators with low-grade mixed cores, who encountered great fortune and had sufficient confidence in surviving, could use such secret techniques to break and rebuild their core. However, the better the quality of the core, the higher the risk. For example, dissolving the inner core of a false core immortal carried a mortality rate of 30 to 50%. But attempting to dissolve a low-quality core could raise that mortality rate to 70 or 80%. And for someone like Chu Qingyi who had reached half-step golden core, attempting such a technique would undoubtedly be a near-death experience. What's more, in her current state, she was already clinging to life by a thin thread. Her core might not even fully dissolve before she succumbed to death. Seeing Lu Changsheng's hesitation, Tianyuan True Monarch shook his head slightly and said, "Breaking before remaking, destruction before rebirth." Given this woman's condition, the two choices are as described earlier: use the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to maintain her vitality or break and rebuild. With this old man's nascent soul origin along with spiritual medicines from the medicine garden, and young friend's assistance with the first-grade golden core, there's about a 30% chance. Tianyuan True Monarch explained in such terms. After speaking, he fell silent, giving Lu Changxing time to think. "Fairy Qingyi, you have surely heard this senior's words?" After a moment of contemplation, Lu Changxing looked down at the Chu Qingyi in his arms, letting her decide for herself. "Thank you, Taoist, but there's no need to save me." Chu Qingyi's pale, bloodless lips moved faintly as she spoke, her voice weak and waning. "No. You must choose one of the two options. If you don't decide, I'll decide for you." Lu Changxing said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "No." Cough, cough, cough. Chu Qingyi wanted to refuse again, but she was too frail to speak. Her life was entirely sustained by Lu Changxing's mana. "I understand that the fairy would rather die than have her body tarnished. But I, Lu Changxing, have fallen for the fairy at first sight and cannot bear to watch you perish." Lu Changxing sighed, his voice heavy. Hearing Lu Changxing's words, Chu Qingyi's pallor was tinged with a faint flush. So, he was saving her because he had fallen for her. Since that's the case, I, Lu Changxing, will choose the second method on the fairy's behalf and leave the rest to fate. If it fails, the fairy need not worry. If it succeeds, I, Lu Changxing, will bear responsibility. If the fairy is willing, I will go to Qingyun's sect to formally propose marriage to Kaiyun True Immortal. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and continued. Tianyuan True Monarch mentioned a 30% chance. In Lu Changxing's estimation, the odds should be slightly higher. If all else failed, he could at least stabilize Chu Qingyi's fragile vitality with his advanced medical skills, buying time to think of other solutions. Having made up his mind, he didn't wait for Chu Qingyi to respond but turned toward Tianyuan True Monarch and said, "Senior, let's proceed with your method." "Oh right, Senior, the red-haired creature from earlier was pursuing us and is heading this way. Will it have any impact? Furthermore, the secret realm is collapsing. If it completely crumbles, will that affect us?" At this moment, Lu Changxing thought of the situation outside and voiced his concern. Chu Qingyi's condition was critical. If they could treat her here within the cave heaven, that would be ideal. But if the collapse of the secret realm would interfere, things would become exceedingly troublesome. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1303, The corpse covered in red hair outside is my physical body, it will not affect the Tianyuan lotus. So spoke the Tianyuan True Monarch. As expected. Upon hearing these words, Lu Changxing muttered to himself that his suspicions were correct. He had seen remnants of the Tianyuan True Monarch's soul earlier and suspected they were connected to the red-haired figure outside. He even suspected that the other party had intentionally used the red-haired corpse to lure him here. As if perceiving Lu Changxing's thoughts, the Tianyuan True Monarch's eyes flickered faintly with sorrow, and he sighed, "I suppose, little friend, you are curious as to why this secret realm has taken such a shape? Years ago, after I failed to achieve divinity transformation, I managed to escape with my second nascent soul and stumbled upon this secret realm. But my injuries were too severe, and though I attempted body snatching and restart cultivation, I could no longer attain my peak. So I plotted to place myself in deadly peril for rebirth. Through a secret technique, I transformed myself into a corpse demon, fueled by the obsession in my heart for revenge. The method, however, was perilous. Fearing my vengeance, my enemies used my daughter's bloodline as a medium to place a curse upon me. Ultimately, my cultivation failed. My being became tainted by misfortune, and I ran rampant within the secret realm, slaughtering indiscriminately. It was only through the inheritance steel of the Howran sect that I managed, barely, to suppress the misfortune. The vengeful spirits and ghost cultivators you've encountered earlier are the people I killed back then, and their spirits were sealed alongside me beneath the steel. The Tianyuan true monarch finished his explanation with a heavy sigh. The individuals within this secret realm, though considered his retainers, had suffered calamity due to him and were nearly entirely annihilated. Transformed into a corpse demon, a bloodline curse. After hearing this, Lu Changxing narrowed his eyes. Inwardly, he mused that nascent soul true lords truly possessed an arsenal of techniques. Not a single one of them seemed straightforward. Yet this matter of bloodline curses intrigued Lu Changxing, making him more vigilant. Indeed, given his current circumstances, if someone intended to use divine techniques involving bloodline curses against him, it would be remarkably easy. The vast cultivation world is filled with treasures, secret techniques, and divine skills. Defenses against such methods are never foolproof. One must exercise caution. Lu Changxing let out a quiet sigh in his heart and said, "Senior, if the secret realm collapses, will it affect the Tianyuan Lotus?" "It will." The Tianyuan true monarch replied directly. The secret realm is now depleted, interfered with by external forces, and has lost the stabilizing support of the steel. In just a few days, it will completely disintegrate, scattering into infinite spatial fragments that will drift through the great void. Even if you are within the Tianyuan Lotus, you will be affected. However, I will make a full effort shortly, expending some of my origin source to send the Tianyuan Lotus out. But as for the specifics, I cannot guarantee. It will depend entirely on yourself. So declared the Tianyuan true monarch. Very well, since that's the case, I shall trouble you, senior. Without further hesitation, Lu Changxing responded immediately. Given the current predicament, he could no longer afford to delay. On one hand, Chu Qingjia's condition could not wait. On the other hand, the heaven and earth net outside might escalate into a nascent soul battle, making his escape exceedingly difficult. Since little friend is ready, I shall begin. Within the Tianyuan Lotus are some heavenly and earthly treasures I left behind in years past. Feel free to take them. As for my physical body, once the secret realm collapses, it will naturally be cast into the great void. Moreover, outside the secret realm are 3 nascent soul cultivators. I suspect suppressing my depleted physical body will pose no challenge for them. Having spoken, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a carefree laugh, his sorrow-filled eyes seeming to exude a faint sense of release. Thousands of years of existence for him had been nothing short of torment. He endured it wholly due to a single lingering obsession. Rest assured, senior, Lu will surely find a suitable inheritor for your legacy. Once capable, I will also seek out information about your daughter and rescue her. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Changxing spoke with a solemn expression. This promise was not solely motivated by the benefits offered by the other party. It also stemmed from him as a father himself, witnessing the others enduring thousands of years for his daughter's sake. Very well. The Tianyuan true monarch revealed a gratified smile and gently lifted his palm. Beams of light burst forth, transforming into a dense sphere of 5-colored radiance that enveloped Lu Changxing and Chu Qingyi. Ho, ho, ho. At the same time, the thick and pure spiritual energy within the cave heaven surged toward Lu Changxing like water, forming a vortex of spiritual energy around him. From the distant medicine fields, crystalline and fragrant spiritual medicine plants, glowing with radiant luminescence, soared toward him. These spiritual medicines, cultivated by the Tianyuan true monarch himself, were all exceptionally rare and precious, of immense value. To meet a friend like you after death and see such a pleasing development might be considered a stroke of fortune. After completing his efforts, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a hearty laugh, his faint and blurry silhouette dispersing like scattered sand, dissolving into countless specks of light. Boom! The entire cave heaven quaked violently as though undergoing massive tremors. In that instant, Lu Changxing seemed to share a mysterious connection with the Tianyuan Lotus, sensing that the Tianyuan true monarch had ordered it to break through the great void and head toward the outside world. As for where it would go, Lu Changxing didn't know, nor did he have the time to ponder. The origin source of the Tianyuan true monarch's nascent soul surged into his body, akin to the collapse of a vast ocean, flowing toward every corner of his being, almost causing his physique to rupture. This power was overwhelming. Even though it was merely a portion of the nascent soul's origin source, it was far beyond what an ordinary cultivator could withstand. Fortunately, Lu Changxing practiced magical dual cultivation. Not only had he condensed the great Tao golden core, but he also possessed the physical refinement ability of the third-order middle stage. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to endure this torrent of power within his body. Fairy Qingyi. Lu Changxing looked toward Chu Qingyi, who lay in his arms, and gently placed her on the ground, intending to mend her tattered palace gown. Oh, are you? Chu Qingyi's beautiful eyes remained tightly shut, her exquisitely chiseled face deathly pale, with streaks of blood at the corners of her lips, a sight of poignant tragedy and beauty, reminiscent of a female sword immortal drifting down from the heavens. She knew she could not resist Lu Changxing's actions now. Asiya the Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1304. Even if the other party uses some means I might not refuse. But she wants to know who Lu Changxing really is. Why does the other party have a bit of familiarity about him, willing to take such a big risk to save her, and also knows the Sun-Moon Samsara technique? Lu Changxing of By Lake Mountain once took the alias Han Li, met Fairy Qingyi on the Green Cloud Spirit ship, and fell in love at first sight. Lu Changxing stopped his palm with a calm expression on his face. He said, "Although Mr. Lu is amorous, he has always been unchanging in name and surname. Even if he sacrifices his own purity to save someone, he is willing to take responsibility. As for the issue of identity, after the secret realm ends, if he and Chu Qingyi return safely, they will definitely attract the attention of others. So Lu Changxing has thought it through. After returning, he will go to the Qingyun sect to propose to Kaiyun True Immortal and confess the situation of his cultivation level. Disciple's life and purity, this woman should be able to distinguish between light and heavy. No matter what the result is, Yun Wanshang is a nascent soul immortal of the Qingyun sect, the enforcement hall master with dual core formation. As long as she is willing to step forward, she can easily brush over this matter with any excuse. Furthermore, since Chu Qingyi is a nascent soul immortal of the Qingyun sect, as long as she doesn't reveal her own situation, it shouldn't be a big problem. By Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing. Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. She naturally knows this name. First, Lu Changxing has quite a reputation under Qingyun's rule. Second, she once asked her junior sister Xiao Xia about Han Li, but her junior sister casually brushed it off. After investigating, she found out that her junior sister doesn't have many friends, but there was one named Lu Changxing. Later she learned that her junior sister was getting closer to this Lu Changxing, and there were even rumors. She never expected that Lu Changxing was the loose cultivator Han Li who once saved her. No wonder junior sister was so vague back then. Chu Qingyi remembered that she was once detoxified by Lu Changxing when their skins touched, and now she's going to— No! She felt Lu Changxing reaching out to remove her skirt, her pale face flushed as she wanted to protest. But before she could finish speaking, Lu Changxing bent down and kissed her lips, blocking her words. Upon kissing her, Lu Changxing immediately activated the life transference technique, nourishing her with his own abundant vitality. Just as Tianyuan True Monarch dissipated, he had already told him the key points of this method. The main thing is that Chu Qingyi's vitality must be maintained, then successfully form a core formation. Whether forming a core or core formation, it's extremely perilous. Even though Chu Qingyi possesses a nascent soul origin and heavenly spirit medicine, it is very dangerous. Chu Qingyi felt a rich male scent enter her nose and mouth. This scent wasn't pungent, rather it was quite pleasant, smelling very comfortable. Possibly mixed with blood in the mouth, there was even some sweetness. However, she clearly felt a warm current containing abundant vitality entering her mouth, reaching her limbs, leaving her mind mixed with emotions. This was consuming his origin to heal her wounds. Except for her master, no one else had ever done this for her. Giving without expecting a return. She wanted to say something, but now not only was she weak, her soft and slender tongue was wrapped entirely by Lu Changxing, leaving her to only make muffled whimpering sounds. Lu Changxing heard these whimpering sounds like a small beast, thinking of her during the core formation ceremony at Qingyun sect, wearing a blue cloud-patterned robe, bearing a deep blue long sword, walking on Rainbow Bridge, being revered by all, the unparalleled celestial beauty. He couldn't help but feel a bit accomplished in his heart. After all, pressing such a lofty fairy under his body and tasting her at will is a desire in every man's heart. Even after decades, Lu Ancestor's heart remains pure and unblemished. Chu Qingyi was gravely injured, but her body still emitted a faint fragrance, seemingly teasing Lu Changxing's mental spirit. Under the kiss, her breathing gradually quickened, knowing what was about to happen. Yet, for some reason besides chaos in her heart, she surprisingly didn't have much resistance. Has she accepted her fate? However, at this moment she felt Lu Changxing letting her go. Qingyi. A warm soothing voice sounded in her ears. In the recent nourishment, Chu Qingyi seemed to have gained a little more strength, her eyelashes trembled lightly, and she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. Immediately she saw an incredibly handsome face. Previously she had seen Lu Changxing but never paid much attention. After all, in the cultivation world, handsome faces are countless. Mere looks aren't enough to attract much attention. But for some unknown reason, she now felt that Lu Changxing's handsome face was immaculate, and just looking at him, gave rise to a natural sense of closeness. Qingyi, I am about to start, are you ready? Lu Changxing looked at Chu Qingyi in front of him with gentle eyes, filled with deep affection. The way she looked so tragically beautiful, made one want to love her dearly and warm her coldness. Chu Qingyi was somewhat at a loss for words. At this point you're still asking me? Do I have any room to refuse? And even if I refuse, will you agree? Moreover, for some reason, seeing Lu Changxing putting in so much effort and using every means to save her, she couldn't say the words of rejection anymore. Just as Lu Changxing said, leave everything to fate. Sar the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If it fails, she will die, and before her death, she can treat this as a dream. If it succeeds, then it's meant to be. At this moment, Chu Qingyi's heart was in chaos. Seeing this, Lu Changxing smiled slightly, knowing that the atmosphere had reached this point, asking further would be less than ideal. However, seeing Fairy Qingyi in this manner, she really was adorable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1305. Leaning down, he continued to kiss her cold lips, his hand removing the last layer of her dress. Chu Qingyi's skin was pale and delicate, slender and gentle, far less seductive and fiery than Nangong Meili. She was not as enchanting and graceful as their master Yun Wanshang, nor as alluring and exquisite as junior sister Xiao Xia. Yet her proportions were nearly perfect. Her snow-like bosom resembled overturned jade bowls, just filling a single palm. Her slender waist swayed like a willow, her curves elegant and breathtaking. Her delicate, round hips were plump and firm, and her long legs were shapely and exquisitely proportionate, utterly flawless. Lu Changxing slid off the white jade boots and silk stockings from her snow-white legs, revealing a pair of tender, beautifully shaped jade-like feet. Her two pale and soft feet resembled spring shoots, smooth as silk, gripped gently in Lu Changxing's hands. She wanted to protest, but exhaustion rendered her powerless, allowing only a faint redness to blossom across her skin, making her appear stunning. Lu Changxing didn't linger on playing around. At this moment, Tianyuan True Monarch's nascent soul origin had saturated his own meridians, dantian, and every fiber of his being. If he didn't begin refining or transferring it into Chu Qingyi soon, even he wouldn't be able to endure the pressure. Considering the lack of preparation in foreplay, Lu Changxing squinted slightly as a peach blossom mark flickered faintly between his brows, glowing with a faint pink hue. Gradually, Chu Qingyi's icy white skin took on faint pink tones, her half-closed delicate eyes becoming hazy and unfocused. Ah! Lu Changxing sighed inwardly at his actions, thinking his methods were truly, but given the urgency of the situation, saving her life outweighed everything else, and he refrained from indulging in further irrelevant thoughts. Moments later. Within the isolated realm of the cave heaven, spring's lingering atmosphere slowly spread. The two figures, enveloped in multicolored spiritual light and nature's spiritual energy, tightly intertwined in harmonious yin-yang rotations. Here no one disturbed them, not even the faintest breeze existed. Time ticked by bit. It wasn't clear how much time had passed, as the initial stiffness and resistance gradually melted into tender gasps and unconscious yielding. Though the process was undeniably intimate, Lu Changxing focused unwaveringly on his purpose throughout. Once Chu Qingyi's condition seemed stable enough, he immediately reminded her, "Qingyi, prepare for core transformation." Yet Chu Qingyi showed no response. "Qingyi?" Lu Changxing called softly, gazing at her pale face, tightly closed eyes and tear-streaked cheeks. This kind of core transformation required her full cooperation. Sir, the novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If she refused to participate willingly, attempting it by force would only lead to greater danger. Kill me or flay me afterward if you wish, Lu someone will obey thoroughly. But for now please listen to me, alright? Besides, didn't you already agree to the second option? Lu Changxing spoke in a low voice. Like hell I agreed, Chu Qingyi wanted to retort. But her previous actions effectively counted as acquiescence, and she sighed softly instead. She then activated her cultivation technique, starting to dissolve the true pill, using its remaining source essence to nourish every inch of her meridians and flesh. Phew! Seeing her cooperation, Lu Changxing felt a significant sense of relief. He had feared she might stubbornly resist at the last moment. Immediately he gathered the yin-yang magic power scattered across Chu Qingji's body and directed it toward her Qi Ocean core to help dissolve her shattered true pill, enhancing her physical body and meridians. Pfft. Suddenly, Chu Qingyi coughed up blood from her serious injuries. This core transformation process was similar to forcibly shattering a nascent soul and was perilous beyond measure. Seeing her plight, Lu Changxing urgently transferred his own nascent soul origin into Chu Qingji's limbs and bones. Simultaneously, he utilized the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique to preserve her vitality. At the same time, he formed gesture incantations with his hands, injecting the spiritual medicine Tianyuan True Monarch had prepared into Chu Qingji's body to assist her refinement. Boom, boom, boom. 3 days later, Chu Qingyi successfully dissolved her true pill, nourishing every inch of her flesh and meridians in the process. During the most critical moments, Lu Changxing employed not only the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique but also the 9 treasures Rui Bone. It could only be said that the core transformation process was dangerously severe. Tianyuan True Monarch had stated there was a 30% success rate, undoubtedly an optimistic estimate. Without the 9 treasures Rui Bone, Lu Changxing suspected that even if Chu Qingyi survived the ordeal, she would be unable to form a new core. Even if successful, her new core would likely be nothing more than a low-grade flawed pill, far below the level of a middle-grade true pill. For such a nascent soul origin, attempting core transformation is still so perilous. No wonder so few dare to undertake the process of breaking and reforming their core. Lu Changxing sighed deeply, having gained first-hand insight into the dangers of core transformation. For ordinary cultivators, unless blessed with extraordinary opportunities, attempting it was practically a death sentence. Additionally, false cores and low-grade nascent soul cultivators faced other limitations: age and potential. An excessively high age could even disqualify one from attempting core transformation altogether. After briefly reflecting, Lu Changxing refocused, embracing the spotless jade-like body before him. He activated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, working tirelessly to help stabilize Chu Qingji's condition in preparation for core formation. Thankfully, with the nascent soul origin of Tianyuan True Monarch and the rich spiritual energy within the Tianyuan Lotus, he wasn't wholly depleted despite the unending strain. Lu Changxing felt he could hold on. Meanwhile, in the Luoyan mountain range. What? Qingyi is badly injured, rescued by a sword cultivator, and now untraceable? Yun Wanshang's expression turned icy as she heard the words of Venerable Lingfeng. The flowing fabric of her luxurious, multicolored robe danced violently as an overwhelming, terrifying spiritual pressure surged forth, seemingly suffocating the air. This operation had been orchestrated by the 4 great immortal sects collectively. Now, with Venerable Lingfeng, Venerable Huxiao, and the nascent soul immortals of the Luoxia sect all exiting the secret realm, her own disciple Chu Qingyi was the sole casualty. How could Yun Wanshang not feel outraged? Especially since the previous discussion about the secret realm had confirmed there were no remaining dangers, and it only served to suppress and intimidate the demonic path cultivators. Now the battle was over, yet her disciple had been gravely injured, rescued, and vanished without a trace, her life hanging in uncertain balance. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.